Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
We don't need no friggin' monologue. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Today is Monday, March 4th, 2024. Olin Buchanan, our Heisman Trophy voter. The Gun Show is here. OB?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, buddy. I'm David Nuño, by the way. Hey, guys.
It is a good morning.
We have not recently had a Monday where we can come in and say pretty much everything was what we wanted this weekend sports-wise, right? Like, women's basketball suffered a bad one. You know, they little bit of a losing streak to end the season there, their senior night. But basketball did what they normally, well, not normally, not recently at least, but they got back to.
They did what they needed to do.
The buzz basics: hit free throws, hit more, get second chance points, and rebounds. Right?
Rebounded well, 50.
And somehow, Wade Taylor again with a poor offensive night. He did find other ways to affect the game. 4 points, yet they won comfortably, OB.
They did. Played really well. Boots Radford was excellent. Manny Obaski played well. Andy Garcia was Andy Garcia.
Yeah.
You know, they went out there and they had to get a win, and they got one.
They got to win. Yeah, so we're going to talk more basketball, obviously. Can we talk about baseball?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I feel like there's not a Batman and Robin when it comes to Jace and Braden, right? It is just, they're both Batman. They're both the leaders.
It's the Justice League.
It is the Justice League of Bats.
It is.
We should make a shirt, Justice League of Bats. I think it's a great NIL option, guys.
Yeah, those two, they're really exciting.
The whole team.
And, you know, I can't watch the game, right? Because I'm not going to
pay for Flow Sports that'll take your money forever.
So I was trying to keep up with it as best I can on Richard's thread.
Yep.
And, you know, yesterday, I know they were on Friday, they were throwing at Arizona State was throwing at
Braden
Montgomery
twice
after he hit a home run, I think it was. And then he comes back and it's a grand
slam. Bam. Take that.
That's awesome. The pitching was great on Friday, and it was good enough the rest of the weekend.
So let's play a game. It's called Let's Go Back in History, okay? We do this sometimes on Mondays. Do you remember the three things and the bank on it that I had on Monday? Because I have it written down from Friday.
I don't, but remind me.
Okay. Well, I've done pretty well recently when it comes to Ryan Brauninger predictions.
Yes.
Okay. I forget what it was last week or the week before, but I predicted exact line, except I think he did in one more inning. Okay. So I said on Friday, Ryan Brauninger was going to strike out 8, another solid performance through 2 starts. He had come into that game with 11.2 innings and 19 batters struck out. I said he would have another 8. And what did he have on Friday?
8.
He had 8. I'm good at this game.
You are.
The 3 things that I wanted to see, that was on bank on it, by the way. The 3 things I wanted to see. This one I wasn't so on, but I wasn't too off. 30% from 3. I'll take 3 of 10 shooting, so only 10 shots. They shot 17 times, I think it was. They weren't too bad, right?
A&M from 3-point range?
Yeah.
I'm looking at 8 of 30.
They shot 33s. Is that many they
That's
shot?
what I'm looking at on this
Okay,
box
well, then I was way off on that one. Okay. Baseball, I said, I want a similar recipe from baseball. A couple of offensive wins and a pitcher's duel. The game, there was some good pitching, that's for sure. I don't know if I would call a pitcher's duel on Saturday. It started off a pitcher's duel, and then the floodgates opened up.
Yeah. Seems like A&M did a really good job not chasing bad pitches.
Yeah.
Seems like they got a lot of walks
this
this week, and that's fine because they're going to get it. Opposing teams and pitchers are going to be concerned about that lineup, so they're going to be trying to paint corners. So you don't have to go chasing after everything. So I thought that they showed a lot of discipline, apparently. Again, because I didn't get to actually see it. I'm concerned based on, again, what I'm seeing on the thread is that they seem to have some trouble with off-speed pitching. And maybe that's just because right now they're too aggressive at times. But they adjusted well and, again, got a lot of walks. So
Michael already figured that out for them.
What a lineup.
And then the third thing I wanted to see, and I kind of got it, but not really. I wanted to see Ainias Smith test very well at the Combine. Well, he didn't test very much at the Combine, but what he did test at, he was phenomenal. 21 reps was the most by any wide receiver of the 225, by the way, bench press.
How many reps do you think you would do on 225?
225, probably 8.
8?
Probably. Yeah, I'm not as strong as Ainias Smith.
Well, Ainias is
maybe 9. I don't know.
He's a strong guy. I'm sad for him that they found out that he had a stress fracture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for him, but he did test well there. So my 3 things I wanted to see, as I thought they were good, they weren't that good. My 30% from 3 wasn't too far off. They were 26%.
Yeah, basically 27%.
But I wanted only 10 threes.
Look,
but you hit 8 out of 30.
Shoot a bunch of threes if you're
gonna make them.
If you're making them, right?
Would you say they were making them?
I thought they made them at an acceptable rate.
Which would be basically, just for the record, I believe in the middle of the losing streak, I looked it up at that time. I haven't looked at it since. They were shooting 27% from 3 as a team, which was second to last in the SEC. So 27% is what they do when they're okay. That's not good. But in this instance, when Georgia was missing a bunch of threes, it ended up working out.
Yeah, Georgia was 10 of 41, so they shot at a lower percentage than A&M did.
Yeah.
Georgia looked like that's all they were going to do was shoot threes, it seemed like. But I thought A&M played with a lot of intensity and a lot of emotion. I thought Boots Radford was spectacular. Manny Obaseki can get to the basket, and he fights his way there. And sometimes he takes shots that they look like, what are you doing? Oh, you're making a shot. Okay.
Well, look, I've been
strong.
On this show, I've been asking for more Manny for a while because I just think he has a skill set that a lot of the other players don't have. And what I mean by that is he's very hard to guard. He's kind of Solo-ish in that respect. Like, you don't know what you're going to get sometimes. By the way, Solo's ability to time his blocks, that's some of the best I've seen in college basketball.
He can really jump.
Like
he plays taller than the 6'7".
Yes, he does. No fast break, layup, or dunk is safe with Solo in the area. Like, it's just not safe. He may foul you, but he's probably going to block it. At the very least, it's going to be a goal 10.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping for because you're probably not going to get it past him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're not going to get it past
hoping
him.
That he's just a little late.
So a good weekend overall. Hope to hear from you guys. Let me know what you thought about the weekend when it came to all the sports A&M wise. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it multiple ways. We'll do Coffee Talk here, presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of the morning by going to texags.com/coffee. Let's give away a coffee, OB. So let's see. What's A&M's baseball record? Is it 11 or no?
I believe that's right.
11 or no. So we're going to do texter number 11. Text the word coffee, and you, my friend, will get yourself a free batch of TexAgs coffee. 11th texter to 979-693-1150. Matthew Dawson will make sure to write down your name and get it to the front desk. All right, let's do this. Let's check in with the people. We have never done this, by the way. You know that, right? We've never checked on Cade Bickham working the director chair right now. So let's go behind the glass and say hi to our director, who's usually a producer, Cade Bickham. Cade, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, y'all. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing well, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So what's on your mind this morning?
Well,
talking to the mic for me, though.
Well, okay. Lots of Lots of big sports moments this weekend. Caitlin Clark broke the all-time NCAA scoring record set by Pete Maravich. LeBron got to 40,000 career points. Lots of big basketball stuff this weekend.
My boy, big event Juan. You've heard me talk about Juan, the Scheschuk, who gets me all the phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend, he got me Vlade Divac's number. He was at a bar with Vlade Divac, the Joker, and Djokovic, the tennis player. Oh, and Juan, of course, just hanging out with the three, just being part of it. But he was there for LeBron's. I saw you, Caitlin Clark.
Well,
yeah,
the Caitlin Clark deal, and they say, well, and don't get me wrong, what she's done is amazing, but she scored more points. Well, first of all, Pete Maravich was not allowed to play on varsity as a freshman, so his numbers are only on 3 seasons. If you take what he did as a freshman, because they played on freshman teams, there's no way she's ever going to catch him. And
how many years has Caitlin Clark played? Is this her third year as well?
4.
Oh, is it her 4th?
And I believe. Okay. If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me on that, but I believe it's 4. And Pete Maravich never played with the 3-point line. So, I think it's a little disingenuous. She's only played 3 years. Really, this is her 3rd year. Okay, well, then I'll stand corrected on that.
Well, according to ESPN, this is her 4th year. 2021. No, yeah, 21. Yeah, 4 years.
So it's 4 years.
Obi was right.
Okay.
Yeah, 130 games.
Right. So there's that. But you know what? When Roger Maris broke the record, for a while they put the asterisk on it because he played in 8 more games, I think it was, than Babe Ruth. But it's still a record.
Yep. Do you put an asterisk by LeBron? 40,000, whatever the point total. What was the point total, Matthew? Or Cade?
40,000.
40,000.
I don't put an asterisk, but he's one of the 5, probably one of the 5 best players of all time.
Would you say one of the 3 best?
I don't know if I would. I mean, he's certainly one of the.
I think I would.
He's certainly one of the best scorers, but I'm going to put Jordan and Bird in there, and
Magic.
You can make a strong argument for Magic. You can make a strong argument for Oscar Robertson. You can
Kobe.
make a strong argument for Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell.
Matt Maloney.
Yeah, I don't know him.
No, he played at Penn. Played for the Rockets for 2 years. All right, let's check in at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. By the way, buddy, OB, we got to hang out with well, you weren't there, but we, as in Billy, myself, and Jackson, got to hang out with the people in the Metroplex at the Angry Elephant there in Little Elm.
That's
it was
awesome.
Great. It was a fun time. I got to meet Chris in Frisco, who's jacked. I got to meet Dave. I got to meet a lot of folks. It was a really good time. We had some technical difficulties with the audio, so Jackson went and got us a boom box, and we got to do it, and we got to do a Q&A with Billy, stuff that only the premium members get to hear. Well, he was all over. It was fun. It was a good time. We're going to be at the Angry Elephant in Magnolia this Saturday. So Houston people, Conroe people, Tomball people, come out and hang out with us. We'll be there for the A&M basketball game Saturday, March 9th from 1 to 3 o'clock. We'll do a Q&A there as well at the Angry Elephant in Magnolia. Come hang out with us. I'm telling you, you can go to the boards. People had a really good time there at the one in Little Elm. Super big bar. It was bar restaurant. It was awesome. Brandon Leone came by. Justin Lanham came by. Jason Howell came by. It was great. It was a fun time. All right. With that, Matthew Dawson, I took away your time, so give it to us.
Of course. I do want to start on the more solemn notes. Do want to take a second to remember Chris Mortensen.
Yep.
He did pass away this weekend for all the great things he did. I mean, he was battling stage 4 throat cancer, and he was breaking the news of Peyton Manning retiring. I mean, that absolute trooper, legend of his business, pioneer, all of that. You saw the social media outpour for him. Definitely blessings to him and his family.
Yeah, I never met him.
Yeah, he seemed like such a nice guy.
Everybody I knew that knew him, even before he was sick, would say, "Oh, hey, if you need somebody more, he's the nicest guy you'll meet." So.
Yeah, if you see all the tweets yesterday, people who worked with him, and I'm talking all ages, like younger broadcasters like RG3, like he would text me and tell me about my good hits on TV. Like just Mort apparently was just beloved by everybody, and I knew he was ill. Obviously, we all did. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten at this point. So Prayers to Mort's family, and we lost a good one there. Matthew, what else?
Absolutely. Well, let's go back to Caitlin Clark because I do want to talk about. I did watch that game. I watched the whole game. That stadium was packed.
Travis Scott in the house.
It was packed. I don't know if a women's basketball game has ever been as packed as it was there. Tickets were going crazy. I was watching it with my girlfriend's grandmother, who's from Iowa, and she's a huge Iowa fan, and she's got family friends that were on the team and whatever. Unbelievable atmosphere. And I do want to mention Gus Johnson was on the call, and he did great, by the way. Like, she put up like a 35-foot three, like that was for the record, and he was like, and for immortality. I thought it was going in. But she got on her free throw, which is pretty cool. And I do want to say, though, like the broadcast, they were talking about, like, I think, the greatest of all time for college versus pros. It's a different conversation. They were talking about Diana Taurasi, right, who has 3 national championships at UConn.
Yeah.
I mean, she was averaging like 15, 4, and 4, right, on those UConn teams. Like, and Caitlin Clark, this year she's averaging 32, 7, and 8 for her career. She's 28, 7, and 8. I mean, like, she could have gone to UConn and had 4 national championships, right?
Yeah.
Like, so they're talking about, like, Caitlin Clark can't be the greatest women's college basketball player of all time.
If she wins at Iowa this year,
yeah, I don't believe that. I saw what was Jay Williams from ESPN was trying to diminish
what she's done
because they had. That's just ridiculous.
Hogwash.
Sorry. You can go down the list. He would say she wasn't even great. You can go down the list of great people in athletics that never won a championship. I mean, it's a long list, too, so that's just ridiculous. I saw Taurasi play. I covered a game that she was playing in, and she was amazing. But, like, I'll say this. They had a bunch of people who could score. Mm-hmm. So they moved the ball to everybody. They didn't have to rely on one person.
I have a hard time. I know we do it because it's a talk show and there's conversations that come up. But I have a hard time comparing eras. Mm-hmm. Right? It's very difficult. The things are different, right? And I also have a hard time comparing men's sport to women's sport because there's a different cast of characters playing in that league. It's very difficult. So when we talk about Pistol Pete or we talk about Caitlin Clark, like, I just accept the greatness that it is for this era.
And what you always say, why is that enough? Why is it enough to say, hey, this is the greatest women's scorer of all time? Why isn't that enough?
And I read, and I don't know how true this is, that if she came back, she's going to the WNBA draft. If she came back, she'd make more money as an NIL player than she would in the WNBA.
The highest paid WNBA player, I believe, makes $250,000 a year. So I believe. I mean, at halftime when she broke the record, because it was like 0.3 seconds left, and like it was perfect timing for or Fox, I guess, who was covering it. But they put up the Nike commercial like right at halftime, and I'm like, she's getting these NIL endorsements from Nike. Like, she is everywhere right now. She's like, women's basketball is like an extreme revenue sport for Iowa right now. Like, it is on the extreme part of that spectrum. So she's absolutely.
I wonder how much money women's basketball at Iowa will make next year.
Without her, I'm not sure. Not sure. They're a pretty good ball club. She had some good players around her.
I don't know what it's like now, but when I covered women's basketball, there was only 2 women's basketball programs in the country that turned a profit, and they were Connecticut and Tennessee.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like now. Obviously, you're going to add Iowa to it.
Let me answer this question. PG Ag and King Oaks. Did David say the Angry Elephant conversation is available on TexAgs? No, I didn't say that. I'm saying that's the kind of information Billy was sharing with the group there, the premium subscriber type information. If I made it sound that way, my bad. Let's do this, OB. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk about when Boots plays basketball that way, they're very hard to beat, right? We're going to do a lot of baseball in the second hour, by the way. Brauninger will be with us. Schloss will be with us. John Scheschuk calling in the program. So we'll do that at that point. But I do want to talk about when Boots plays like that, how hard A&M is to beat. And if they're going to make at least make it interesting for the tournament. I know some people have already given up on the tournament, but they won, so now it's interesting. Let's keep it interesting. They're going to need Wade Taylor to do more than 4 points. And by the way, I applaud him for finding other ways to affect the game. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Right now, though, we're going to talk QC Kinetics, the good people there at QC Kinetics. If this time of the year to enjoy life. So stop letting that pain in your joints keep you from doing what you love to do this spring. You need to make sure you call QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. And I'm talking about the lasting relief in your joints, in your back, in your knees, in your hips, wherever it would be. And this is no surgery, no downtime, no drugs. It's just going to take care of you, and you're going to feel so much better. They're literally transforming people's lives with their advanced treatments that harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. You've heard about pro athletes doing it forever, right? They all been doing it. They used to have to escape to go do it. Well, you can do it with QC Kinetics right now, and it's available for you right here in the Brazos Valley. You can walk, run, climb stairs, play golf, move again, pain-free, no pain pills, no risky surgery, all natural solution. And they have tens of thousands of satisfied patients who have reclaimed their mobility. Take action now and live your best life this spring and this summer. It's a great use of your tax refund check, by the way. Call QC Kinetics right now for a free consultation. Get back to jumping rope, enjoying life. That phone number, 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Did get some breaking news at the break. I didn't see it when it came out. But ESPN and others are reporting that Mike Evans has agreed to stay with the Tampa Bay Bucks, a 2-year deal that will pay him $52 million. That includes $35 million in guaranteed money. His agent did tell Adam Schefter, OB, mixed emotions about it. The Texans fan in me wanted him to go to the Texans. But for his legacy, I like this.
It's just, I didn't know I could respect Mike Evans more. But it's just, that's the most Mike Evans thing ever.
Yeah.
You know, he's a loyal guy. He's a hard worker. You know, he's a guy that's always, he's just, man, he's just like a throwback.
Yeah.
You know, look, he's got to get paid. You know, I get that, but you know, maybe he'd have made more money if he would have decided to see who would pay him more. But
35 guaranteed million.
I'm going to stay
35
home.
million guaranteed, I should say.
Yeah, I'm going to stay home. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I think outside of the Texans, and again, I'm being a selfish fan here. That was the place that I didn't want him to go. Unless he would have gone to Kansas City, I think that would have been kind of cool. But I could see how people wouldn't have looked at it the same way as looking at him staying at Tampa. I mean, him and Baker were cooking at the end of the year.
I just, they're so, and I don't know, he still probably won't finish his career with the Bugs, but it's almost rare now for even a great player to finish his career with one team, and I think it's refreshing if they do.
Yeah,
if he does, you know what? He's on his way to the Hall of Fame anyway. He's idolized in Tampa, and I can understand why he wants to keep playing there. But by the way, it's a great city.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it when I visited there.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to go for the Florida game. I've already made up our mind. Like when we go to Florida, we're staying in Tampa
and drive in.
And if we're gonna do like an extra day, it's gonna be in Tampa, not
Jacksonville.
Not Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's not bad.
No. But Caribbean music.
I would take Tampa over.
Just saying, like, para la gente. All right. I've been doing this thing where I knock on the table. It's just weird. I apologize to the people. So I said this at the end of the last segment. I believe this to be true. For A&M to continue making it interesting, and I know some people have given up hope on making the tournament, but I have not given up hope because mathematically, not even mathematically, there's still a chance. We don't know. Like, what if this year they're on the cut line and those the committee is like, you know what, we did screw them 2 years ago. Let's put them in, guys. And
yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to get a break like that. They're going to have to.
They got to keep winning.
If they got Mississippi State coming in,
it'll be a hard one.
It is, and Mississippi State I think is ranked like 32nd in the
Quad 2, right?
32nd in the latest net rankings. A&M's 54. So if you can get a win over Mississippi State, I mean that's a good win. It's not a great win, but it's a good win. And then if you could beat Ole Miss on the road and get me a win in Nashville.
Give me 2.
Well, yeah, of course, but I'm just saying, hey.
Does 2 get them in? If they go 5-0, from their losing streak. I think the other teams still have to lose.
So, yeah. They'll be in the discussion at least. And then you're hoping that nobody gets upset in their it's okay to get upset in your conference tournament, somebody else.
You don't want somebody under you.
It's not somebody that's not projected to get into the tournament, does it?
The team that played Saturday against Georgia, do they win some of the games that they lost during that 5-game losing streak?
No.
They don't beat Vanderbilt, that team?
Well, if Wade's scoring 4 points.
Yeah, that's the thing. For them to make the tourney, Wade's got to get back to being Wade offensively.
Yeah, I think, and I think he will. He's just in a terrible slump right now.
But if Boots plays like that, and when I say about like that, he can score 20. They're 7-1 when he scores 20 this year, right? But the 20, the hard rebounds, the ability to attack the rim, when he plays like that, it makes everybody better on the floor.
Oh yeah, but I think for A&M to be a tournament team and to beat better teams in Georgia, both of those guys are going to have to show up, and both of those guys are going to have to play and score.
So both have to show up against Mississippi State, right?
Yeah, Mississippi State's good. I mean, they have the guy that's going to give A&M trouble. It seems like rim protectors give A&M trouble, and they may have the best one in Tolu Smith.
Yeah, it's but a win does make you feel like, all right, maybe we'll get a little bit, because it doesn't matter how you get the win. If you dominate, if you win by one,
that's true.
If you get some wins, right, and you start feeling yourself and start believing in what you can do, and that's why, it has been nice to see Manny give you some offense and run the point a little bit. It has been nice to see Solo's defense. It's nice to see Andy Garcia, who didn't have a slump, but really matter. He mattered in that game. They don't win without Andy Garcia. Well, they probably win, but he was a huge factor.
Well, they just need to start playing the best that they can play, and that starts with Wade Taylor.
Yeah,
and that was almost like a bonus victory when you can beat any team, especially on the road. I know Georgia's not very good, but especially on the road. You can beat any team with your best player having a bad night and scoring 4 points, I think it was. Then that's a bonus. So what they need to do is they need to be able to get a really strong game from Wade and Boots, and then get more of what we've been seeing from Manny and Anderson.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break here. Let's do a little college football when we come back. All right, let's do that. I got
a bad time to talk college football.
Is it ever a bad time?
Never.
Especially when you got the Fighting Elkos. Right now, we're talking about 12 under 12. Did you or someone you know graduate from Texas A&M in the last 12 years? And I know there's a bunch of you who are listening because I met some of you there at the event in Little Elm at the Angry Elephant. If you're leading by example in business and in service, I'm talking to some of you that I talked to, then the Association of Former Students would like to invite you to nominate yourself or someone you know for the 12 under 12 Young Alumni Spotlight. So each year, they recognize a dozen Aggies who have graduated within the last 12 years for their business accomplishments or civic or military service, philanthropic efforts, and outstanding representation of A&M's core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. Previous year honorees have included leaders in business, higher education, architects, petroleum, engineers, nonprofit executives, physicians, veterans, and members of the U.S. Armed Forces. So 2024 nominations close on Sunday, March 31st. It's coming up here, guys. So be sure to submit a nomination soon. To learn more about the recognition and submit a nomination, visit tx.ag/12 under 12 nominations. Again, that is tx.ag/12 under 12 nominations. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, 911 University Drive East in College Station. They got Rolex timepieces for both men and women. Stop by David Gardner's Jewelers and meet with one of their certified Rolex specialists there. Again, that is 911 University Drive East in College Station. You can shop them online at davidgardnersjewelers.com. OB, so I read an article on on Saturday Down South. It got me thinking. It said ranking the SEC's 7 best chances to host College Game Day. And believe it or not, A&M, which I know you'll believe because why else would I bring it up, has 2 games on there that could potentially host College Game Day. Texas is one of them.
That's for one. And then the other one is probably a coin flip between LSU or Notre Dame.
It is Notre Dame. So the 7 best chances to do it. Number 6 on that list, Notre Dame versus Texas A&M. I hate to be the guy after 8-month offseason, but the slate of headliner games on opening weekend is pretty limited. That's why A&M, that's not a nice way to phrase it, Connor. The Notre Dame A&M game has a legitimate shot to host College Game Day. It's the best game on college campus opening weekend. You got Riley Leonard, Mike Elko reunion, plus there will be new energy in College Station after getting the Jimbo Fisher era out. Go figure, the game day hasn't been A&M since week 2 of the Fisher era when the Aggies hosted Clemson. Is that right?
I guess.
I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what it was? It was
I know one time
the
we
Fox
thought
crew.
that they were coming.
Yeah.
And then they didn't. And then one time it was going to be.
The Fox crew came, I remember, though. Like, they came for sure.
Yeah.
That might have been the Bama weekend. Then number 3, not number 1 on the list, number 3, Texas at Texas A&M. That weekend, though, is Auburn and Alabama, Michigan and Ohio State, or that day, Washington and Oregon, and Oklahoma LSU. But it says this will be, both teams could be having playoff spots. Texas and Texas A&M is a heated rivalry that's being played for the first time since yada, yada, yada. So those are the 2 games A&M-wise that could make College Game Day. I haven't surveyed the schedule. I haven't looked at breaking it down for every other team. But to me, it is that one seems like a no-brainer, Texas versus Texas A&M.
Yeah, especially if both teams are having decent seasons, They're finally coming back to play after this hiatus. There's so much animosity between the 2 programs, and it's kind of a historical thing. So I could see absolutely that being, as long as I don't think you're going to see
if A&M and Texas are both vying to win 9 or 10 games that weekend, absolutely.
Yeah, if they're both 500, or if one of them has a losing record and one of them's in the playoff hunt, probably not.
Right. I'll give you. You want the other ones that they're talking about? Some of these I don't really care about. Like November 9th, number 7 on the list, Georgia at Ole Miss. Those 2 could be top 5 teams when they play. So I could absolutely see that. Other games.
Or these are all involving SEC teams.
SEC teams, yeah. It says other games that weekend for competition: Oklahoma at Mizzou, Florida State at Notre Dame, Alabama at LSU. Well, yeah, Alabama at LSU could be. Already told you number 6, which is Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Number 5 on the list, Tennessee at Oklahoma.
I would have to know what other games are on there. I think those are going to be 2 very mediocre football teams.
You think so? I think Oklahoma for sure. I'm not sure what I think about Tennessee this year. Josh Heupel, though, I mean, there's the storyline there.
There's that former quarterback. That's true.
September 21st is that one. The other games on the list, USC at Michigan for that week, are September 21st, by the way. Miami at USF. No, I think if those are the games, I think USC and Michigan could be the one.
I think it's USC, Michigan.
Yeah.
That's a Big Ten game.
And then we've got number 4, and we already mentioned this game, Alabama at LSU. Florida State or Notre Dame that weekend, Georgia Ole Miss, we talked about that. So we know the storylines in this one. Although the Kalen DeBoer era, this game will be played at LSU. It's November the 9th.
That's going to be interesting.
It'll depend. If Georgia and Ole Miss are what we think they are, it's got to be them.
Yeah, I would think, because I think LSU is going to be one notch below what they were last year.
I do too. But the last time I thought that was 2 years ago. I was like, how are they going to be better? Like, they lost all these guys, and then they end up, winning the West. So I was wrong about them a couple years ago. Georgia at Texas is number 2. Absolutely can see this. Mm-hmm. October 19th competition. Alabama at Tennessee, and Colorado at Arizona. I think it's a no-brainer if those teams are what we think they are. it'll be Georgia at Texas that week.
Yeah, with Colorado at Arizona. That would be just because of Dion, I guess.
I can't. It says here this could be a battle of number 1 versus number 2. Won't be quite as pivotal as it would have been in the 14 playoff.
They're saying Texas and Georgia could be number 1 versus number 2.
Yeah. Well, that would include Texas beating Michigan. Is that week 2 of the season?
Yeah, I guess so. And that's, I guess it doesn't matter if you lose your star receivers and most of your defense.
They just replenished there. Let me tell you what their schedule leading up to that game, just to see if you agree, because they might be undefeated.
They might be.
Colorado State to open up.
Well, Texas will win that one.
At Michigan. I tend to think Texas is going to win that one because I don't know who's on Michigan.
But I don't know who's on Texas.
Point well taken. Versus UTSA?
I will take the Longhorns over the Roadrunners.
Okay. So potentially 3-0 or 2-1 at that point. ULM?
I'll give Texas the edge.
Mississippi State?
Where's that game played?
It's going to be played at DKR. Every game's at DKR.
Okay, then I'll take Texas over Mississippi State at home.
Oklahoma?
I'll take Texas over Oklahoma.
So they could be.
I'm not saying Texas is going to be bad. Don't get me wrong.
But
I'm saying that there's a lot of reasons to have some questions about
if they lose in a.
I think the team they might lose to and all that is Mississippi State.
I don't. Mississippi State was so awful. I know there's a new regime.
They have a new coach. Their coach was an idiot. Plus, you know what? Mississippi State just, if it was at Starkville especially, but Mississippi State, you know you're in a game when you play.
Yeah.
They may not be very good, but they're going to hit.
They're going to be in a game. But I mean, worst case, don't you think Texas has got 1 loss?
Yes.
Maybe 2, but
maybe
more
two,
but more than likely 1 loss heading into that Georgia game at home.
Probably, but what they're going to find out is that you have to be ready to play at your best every week,
right?
Or close to your best every week. That hasn't always been the case for them.
Yep. And then the number 1 game on the list, September 28th, Georgia at Alabama.
Of course.
The competition for that week: Oklahoma at Auburn, Louisville at Notre Dame. Feels like Georgia's every week.
Yeah. Did you know I covered a Georgia-Alabama game?
Did you?
Yeah.
For Yahoo?
It was the last time Georgia would win until, Kirby Smart was the coach. They won in overtime. Yeah. I always remember that one.
Was that a Yahoo Rivals kind of gig?
Yeah. Yeah, TexAgs wouldn't send me up for that one.
No, I didn't think so. And, bottom line is A&M does have a chance to be on game day a couple times this year. And both, by the way, at least looking at it at first glance, things change, storylines change. Both at Kyle Field.
I have well, then that's why you'd be the host of game day.
Well, what I meant before that is being on game day twice. But yes hosting game day, yes.
Maybe even more than that. I'm cautiously optimistic about this season.
Well, what does that mean? Like,
it means
playoff optimistic, or talked about in the mix through the beginning of November?
Talk about being in contention, getting into November, and then see what happens. But I'm cautiously optimistic because of all the things we've talked about before. I was looking up last week Connor Wegman's numbers as a starter.
Yep.
And I don't have them with me, but he's thrown for like 1,800 yards and 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions as a starter. And that's a lot of that as a true freshman. But if you project it over 12 games, those numbers, it comes out to about 2,700 yards and about 26 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And I'm thinking, if I can get that, and probably
by the way,
even better than that.
Because of the offense.
And because of the offense. Now, they're going to miss Aniyah Smith without a doubt. I think they'll miss Aniyah Smith much more than they'll miss Evan Stewart, much more. But I'm very optimistic about – I'll say it today. The offensive line is going to be better.
Yes.
The difference is it going to be – last year, your offensive line, what was the grade? What grade are you going to give them?
I would give them a C- or
I see.
D.
I'd say
or
a D.
D. Yeah.
Maybe even a D-. I'm not going to fail them. But so are they going to be a C or are they going to be a B?
If you get a B- with that team last year,
Yeah, you won a couple more games.
You win 2 more games.
Jimbo's still your coach.
Yeah.
But Jimbo was the guy that, by gosh, kept saying how good his offensive line coach was. When, again, everybody else could see there's a problem. So, I think they're going to be about as good as their offensive line is.
Let's hit a break. When we come back, we're going to get updates on the Combine. I know we talked a little bit about Anaya Smith, but Matthew's got some of the other people to talk about. And I didn't want to bring it up at the end of the segment because it would probably carry us, but did you see that the SEC and the Big Ten are like, we should get a guarantee, 1 and 2. So we'll see if we can get that in. If not, we'll save it for tomorrow. Right now, Heritage Films time. Chance McClain's company, they make documentary films. You should get one done for your family, right? Your family business, your family ranch, whatever it may be. He does the storytelling that is just so fantastic, and I think you will love it when you get to watch the video together with your family. We're talking about your grandparents, your uncles, your nieces and nephews, your kids, your great-grandkids, whatever it may be. When you watch it all together and you see the family name, story told, with the music, with the credits, with the lighting, with the great interviews, the videos, and the pictures spliced into there, you're going to love it. You're going to be like, well, this could be at the movie theater, right? That's what Chance does with these with these heritage films, documentary films that really tell the family story from the beginning to right now. It's a great thing to do. He also does the year flicks, which are 20-minute options. So your heritage film's about a 2-hour documentary, right? Those are awesome. The year flicks is also awesome, but you can take it in parts, right? You can do these Q&As over time, and you can have your daughter's story, your son's story from the freshman year at Texas A&M to when they get their Aggie ring, to when they graduate, to when they get married, and then you got your 4-part story. It's just a cool benchmark video learning the different phases and stages of your kid's life. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. The number, 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U. Want to give a quick shout out to Sutton Turner, who does the fan show with us sometimes. OB, he just helped launch a new church, Salt City. So congratulations. There was a whole article in the Eagle about it, and apparently it was a great turnout. So congrats to Sutton and the gang over there and their new leadership. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant Youth and Social Center, because Matthew Dawson's got all the numbers we want to hear from the Combine this past weekend, Aggie related, and then even some non-Aggies.
Yeah, I want to start with Anaya Smith because you guys had already brought it up, but I do want to reiterate. All right, he's 21 bench reps, right, at 225, by the way. If you didn't know that, the bench press is 225 pounds. So someone Anaya Smith's size, 200 pounds, he's mentioned 225, 21 times. Not only is that the most of any wide receiver.
He weighs about 190 probably.
He is. Do you think he's shorter than me or taller than me? What do you think? He's basically my size, but looks way better.
Yeah. What about your size?
5'10", 5'10 and a half.
I'm 5'10", and I'm 187. So he's about me.
Yeah,
Okay, so, and by the way, sure, he had the most of any wide receiver. How about you change his position to linebacker? He still would have been number one in bench press.
That right?
Is that right?
That is right. The guy's 35, 40 pounds heavier than him. Jeremiah Trotter of Clemson had 21, I believe, as well. And, yeah, so he's neck and neck with those guys.
I believe Mikado Hinson, before Anias did the bench press, I had a tweet out, I think it was before, I might be wrong there, where he's like, I remember watching this guy do basically what he's about to do, you know, when he first got to campus. So this guy's been a beast for a long time.
He has been, but they're going to miss him. He was so much fun to watch play football.
And he's going to be at the next level, too.
He was. And I believe the Dolphins, in his interview, he said the Dolphins specifically, and several other teams had talked to him, but he specifically meant the Dolphins.
Dude, the Dolphins will become my favorite team.
Pairing up Anias.
Devon and Anias.
Imagine that special teams right there. That would go crazy.
Yeah.
That would go crazy. So, and then let's talk about Layden Robinson as well. He didn't run a 40-yard dash, but his measurements were pretty good. Came in at 6'3.5", 302 pounds. His arm length, 34 and 5/8 inches. That's pretty good. Probably profiles as a guard. I mean, as we know, he is a guard. That's pretty good for a guard.
Yeah.
His broad jump, 9'3". That's pretty good for someone his size as well.
Heck yeah.
Damani Richardson.
By the way, he looked really fast on that video that I saw of him doing the run. He looked very fast.
Yes, I believe he does well on tape as well. I believe speed-wise. So I don't think scouts are probably concerned about that. I'll go into Damani Richardson. So they have like a relative athletic score. So Damani Richardson scored a 5.97 out of 10 relative athletic score. That's really because of like his 40-yard dash, and we knew like 4.6. That's still good for safety. Just for a box safety, that's good. That's good. 31-inch vertical, a 9'8" broad jump, which is pretty good as well. Ezrin Cooper though was the highlight of the absolute combine. I mean, 9.34 relative athletic score, which is fourth of the linebackers. Crazy athletic linebacker class, by the way. It seems like they're getting smaller and faster and more athletic these days. 4.51 40-yard dash, a 10.54 10-yard split, 34.5-inch vertical, 9'10" broad jump. In his interview, he said that the Cowboys, the Steelers, and the Eagles have all formally interviewed him. Now, I'm sure he will talk to many other teams informally, and there's plenty of other meetings to go on there, but he specifically mentioned those three. So if you're a fan of those three, you might be getting a good player.
I am, and I would hope that he would land in Dallas. They need linebacker play. Need to upgrade their linebackers.
Every year that I've done this show with you, this will be the third NFL Combine. There's an Aggie or two that you mentioned. God, I would love for the Cowboys to get him. And you're always right. Like, they're exactly what you need. Like I
want them to take Matabike.
Cam Dewberry last year, I believe, was one of the guys you mentioned.
Dewberry wasn't in
Not Cam Dewberry, excuse me. Sorry. Kenyon Green. Sorry, I don't know why I got them confused. Kenyon Green.
I want them to take A-Chain.
A-Chain, yep.
And I would be thrilled with Ezrin Cooper and Anaya Smith.
Who was it in 21? Was it DeMarvin, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, let's talk about guys that the Cowboys are also interested in. McKinley Jackson. Now, he scored a 3.52 relative athletic score, but that's also not considering his size. Because the relative athletic score is by position. Not a lot of guys in that combine were over 325 pounds. He had a 6-foot or 8'10" broad jump, which is incredible for someone his size. Yeah, sure, his 40-yard time wasn't all that impressive, but his 10-yard split, which scouts are looking for, explosiveness, a 1.78. That's the upper echelon of D tackles. That's crazy. So Cowboys, Steelers, Buccaneers, and 49ers have all formally interviewed him as well, as we know of.
Awesome. And what did I got to give him props? Xavier Worthy run a 4.2 what? 1?
4.21 record, combine record. Also want to shout out Tyler Owens from Texas Tech, defensive back there. He jumped a 12'2" broad jump, which is 1 inch short of Cowboys Byron Jones, which that's, by the way, a world record, not just a combine record, world record. So he's 1 inch short of that. And he also, I think, had the highest vertical at like 42 inches or 43 inches. And he got hurt running the 40-yard dash. He probably would have run like a sub 340. That might have been, if he had completed that 40, it probably would have been the greatest combine performance maybe ever. So,
OB, we're about to do basically an hour of baseball talk. Texas is tomorrow.
A lot to talk about.
Texas has lost 2 games to SEC teams. A&M is undefeated. It is in Austin at Dishwalk. They need – I can't have Texas giving A&M their first loss.
No, just keep winning, Aggies. Just keep playing well.
Thank you, buddy.
You bet.
All right, that does it for the Go Hour. When we come back, Jim Schlossnagle and Ryan Brauninger next on TexAgs. It is a baseball hour here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Ryan Brauninger's in studio with me. He was in the Metroplex. Great weekend as we go to the hotline to talk with Jim Schlossnagle here on TexAgs Radio. Schloss, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. Glad to be back home.
Well, I think the first thing I'll start off with is another weekend where we saw a little bit of everything, right? We saw some patience at the plate. We saw some offense. We saw some really good pitching, some defense, you name it. It was a good weekend for the bats and everything around.
Yeah, I think it was. I think our starting pitching, obviously Friday night was really good. I thought Tanner Jones competed well. I think he's going to, he got to the 50 pitch mark, which is what we wanted. I think the thing to remember with him is he only got, I don't know, maybe 2 inter-squad appearances before the season began. And then once we got him back healthy and strong, he threw 2 bullpens, and then he's in the game. So he's still kind of going through his spring training. So I expect him to be a little sharper, hopefully, as we move forward. And then I thought Lampkin was good in the first 2 innings. Still has some things to get better at, but that's part of a team. It's great to know that you can be a better club than you currently are, and you're still winning games. I thought, for the most part, our at-bats over the weekend were great. Had we been playing in a our field or a college field, probably would have had 5 or 6 more homers, which would have added to our run total. But it was good. I think we've won games in different ways. We've been able to get a lot of guys some at-bats. Caden Sorrell got some good at-bats. Hank Bard, Jack Bell got a start. So trying to keep a smile on everybody's face is a big challenge these days. But we'll take it, and looking forward to this upcoming week.
Schloss convinced me that the story of the weekend for you guys wasn't the appearances by Weston Moss and Josh Stewart.
Convince you that the story of the weekend? The story of the weekend was Braden Montgomery.
Well, there you go. Good. He convinced me. Yeah.
I mean, Braden Montgomery being the best player on the field, or him and Jace, just having 2 elite players and keeping those guys healthy all season is going to be big for us. But yeah, Stewart was good. Moss was good. I think USC is going through some growing pains right now with their program. They don't have a ballpark to play in as they build, I think, a pool on their field for the Olympics. But Andy Stankiewicz will get that program going. I thought Arizona State was very offensive throughout the whole weekend. They were tough to pitch to, really tough to pitch to. So, but yeah, Moss and Stewie certainly has earned my trust, and Weston has as well. And so Coach Max has really done a really good job with both of those guys, because in my mind they weren't on the map for a variety of reasons going into the fall or through the fall, and now they're for sure players, guys that are going to get to pitch in this program for a while.
Well, I was just wanting you to talk about those 2, and then we're going to get to Braden and Jace. So let's go to Braden and Jace. With Braden, just managing the emotions of Friday night after he hits the homer, then they plunk him twice, and obviously you take issue with it to try to protect your players, but just managing the emotions of him and then to see him hit the homer, but also the ball club, because there's a lot of people on our message boards wanting some retaliation, but if there's a retaliation and it's a subsequent ejection, then that's a suspension and somebody would miss these next 3 games or 4 games, whatever it is. So just talk us through managing that whole thing, Schloss.
Yeah, that's a tough thing, because you'd like to think those things weren't on purpose, but the first one in my mind was pretty obvious. I don't know their coach. I know he was an outstanding major league player, and we certainly know how things are run in the big leagues. And so in college baseball, we're still coaching amateur players. I don't want to get anybody hurt on either team, but my job is to protect our players. And that's what I said to the umpire. The umpire questioned why I was out there. And I said, well, here are your options. Is I have Braden Montgomery go out there and kick that guy's ass, and then we have a big problem. Or I stand up for my players, you go handle it in some way, as you're supposed to do, and we'll, calmer minds will maybe prevail. But, if anybody gets thrown out of a game, it needs to be me. Because Braden Montgomery is going to impact the game way more than I am. And so, my job is to stand up for Braden. And believe me, that won't be forgotten in the years to come.
Has Brayden surprised you at all? I mean, obviously he's veteran savvy. We know he's going to be in the big leagues soon, but just the way he goes about his business, did any of this, not necessarily success on the field, but just in general, the way he goes about his business surprise you?
Well, I didn't know him, so it's hard to know what he was going to be like when you don't even know the guy. But since the day he stepped foot on campus, he's just been a great teammate, and that's for a guy with as many accolades and expectations, the way he's handled himself around the facility and the clubhouse and all of that stuff, it's just been phenomenal. He's got I always say the best players that I've ever coached have the perfect combination of confidence and humility. And so he is supremely confident, but humility factor away from the field and just being part of the club, not putting himself ahead of the team, always thinking of somebody else first. That is what the great ones do, to be honest with you. At least the great ones I've been around. So he's just a joy to coach. He's open, he's honest, he's intelligent, comes from great family. Parents are awesome. So just got to keep him healthy, man. Just got to keep him healthy and strong, and the game will take care of itself.
Coach, and I thought over the course of the weekend, even though he didn't homer, I thought Jace showed a lot of people why he is perceived as one of the top players in the country. If you sit there and watch the entirety of all those games, he always, the big highlight deals for him are what go viral and what gets a lot of likes and stuff on Twitter. But he made real baseball plays over the course of the weekend within the parameters of him being an elite athlete as well.
Yeah, he really did. He showed off his defensive ability in center field in a ballpark that, it's really massive. Massive. Out there from alley to alley. So he showed that off. He obviously showed his speed down the line. Huge play in the game was scoring those 2 extra runs when he beat the pitcher to the base yesterday. The triple, getting to third base, and watching him, somebody his size, run the bases. That's what the elite major league players look like. His at bats were great. He took his walks. Some of them were extremely competitive, meaning that he had to lay off some tough pitches to take his walks. And he just missed a couple balls that would be homers in any park, and maybe 1 or 2 that would have been homers in our park. So you nailed it. He doesn't have to hit a home run for somebody who knows anything about baseball to be able to sit back and appreciate what kind of all-around talent he is.
Well, and then just your decisions and going forward with the lineup at catcher. Obviously, it seems like you're going to have some options with the way Hank and Jackson played over the course of the weekend. But, also at second base, I thought Jack Bell looked good in a run out yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be who's healthy, what's the matchup look like. Caden Kent does a lot of things on a baseball field that help you win a game. Like the little weird it's not a miscommunication. It's just a tough baseball play when the ball is hit in between the third baseman and shortstop yesterday, and he's able to field the ball, kind of half run into Ali, and still get off a throw and have it be a strong throw and be an out. We've seen him make awesome relay plays, turn double plays. He has quality at bats for the most part. He's a real baseball player. Jack Bell he's the most tooled out player of all of those players. Like, he runs faster, hits the ball harder, has a great arm. Caden has a good arm. He's just a super twitchy player that is he's really, really going to be a good one for us. I truly believe that, especially as he gets more comfortable and more confident. And so he's gradually ticking up to where in that Caden Sorrell range where I need to try to find him at bat as often as I can. So Targot's a little banged up right now. We'll try to find out what's going on with him this week. And we still haven't given up on I'm not giving up on Benderup. He's still a freshman. he's still, working through. Part of being a great college hitter is learning how to handle the lows, right? And anybody can handle the highs. Who can handle the lows? So we still have great hope and promise for Blake.
Schloss, how rare is it for a guy like Ryan Brauninger to miss as much time as he did and to come back and just deal the way he has these first 3 starts?
Yeah, pretty hard. Usually when guys come back, they don't have the velocity or they don't have the command or they haven't quite figured out how to spin the ball. And I think, us waiting the full 16 months or so before pushing it, that's really helped him. And Coach Max has done just an awesome job with kind of refining his stuff and shortening his breaking ball, giving him a quality changeup, which he's never really been comfortable with. I think that pitch is getting better. I think he may have threw it left on left the other day, that's a pitch that thrown correctly is really tough to hit for a left-handed hitter. Again, just got to keep him healthy. He started out great as a freshman, but it's a long season, and the season will beat you up. So just trying to manage his strength and endurance that's going to be our biggest challenge right now.
Coach, obviously a lot of the fan base looking at tomorrow night in Austin and, excited to see you guys go over there and play. But have you, as a coach, in this rivalry, I know you've coached in some enormous games and you've coached in this game in Omaha, but can you describe what the energy is like in the stadium whenever these games are played at Olsen Field or at Disch Falk? Like, I think from a coach's perspective and a guy that's done it as long as you have, I think people kind of underestimate how much you still appreciate going into these games and these venues.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's great. You can feel it, the electricity, just during batting practice. I think there's definitely mutual respect between our coaching staffs, Coach Pierce and his staff and ours. We see them on the road a lot. I've known David Pierce since he was a high school coach in Houston. But it is what it is, man. It's Texas and Texas A&M, and I've been, preparing a couple of even Braden. I was like, buddy, you have no idea what you're about to walk into, and imagine this, next year when it's a 3-game SEC series, the freaking world may explode. I don't know, but yeah, I've been a part of those. I've been there. I've been there for super regionals multiple times as a coach at TCU, but it's not the same. As much as we want to say it's normal, it's not normal. But it is great preparation for the things that we're going to see in our league. At LSU, at Florida, at Ole Miss, places like that. So all of this stuff is just great life experience, and it's great preparation for the future. And there isn't any one game, win or loss, that's going to define our season. I mean, whether it be against Texas or Rhode Island, simply because the sport itself doesn't lead it. There's going to be great days. Like yesterday, I mean, we had the flare hit by Bard, and we had the ball over the bag, and that extended the lead. Friday night, the game was 2 swings decided the game. Montgomery and Sorrell, or otherwise that's a scoreless game. Or if we have a couple balls fall in, it's an 8-0 game. So baseball's so fickle, man. It's hard to predict what's going to happen. But I mean, obviously we want to win the ball game. We want to win every game we play, and going over there and playing those guys in front of that crowd is going to be a lot of fun. So we're just trying to take it all in and enjoy it.
What would a quality start by Chris Cortez do for him and his confidence in that arena?
Well, going to do a lot for his confidence, and going to do a lot for my confidence too. I mean, I have confidence in Chris. I have from day one, and just keep pushing him out there. And this will be a great opportunity for him to showcase himself in that kind of environment. And if he can go out there and just give us a chance. All I ask out of our starting pitcher is when I take the ball from you, just have us in the game, man. Just have us in the game. and I'll manage the rest of it with the guys we have available in the bullpen. But if Chris can get out there and give us a good 4 or 5 innings, that'd be great. And then we'll pass it over to the whatever the best matchups are the rest of the way.
That is Jim Schlossnagle here on the hotline. Coach, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. You guys have a great day. Gig 'em.
Gig 'em. Jim Schlossnagle there.
Jim Schlossnagle.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with more with Bronny, followed by John Scheschuk. So a lot of baseball this hour. Will be a good one. If you want to be a part of the conversation, call us up, 979-693-1150. It's TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm not going to harp on everything that was said in that interview, but let's just say Schloss speaks my language. The way he answers questions, like, that's my guy. That's my coach.
Yeah, the response to the question about Braden on Friday night and that whole incident and the antics of Arizona State, I thought was – I don't know how many coaches are going to give you that candid of an answer.
Yeah.
And that's what he always does in all these interviews, though, so I don't know why we would expect anything less. But he told it – he told the story exactly as it happened and kind of gave the umpire an ultimatum when the umpire asked him why he was going out there. He said, well, you have two options here. You can let my guy do what he's going to do to this guy physically, or you can deal with me, and it's my job to protect my player. And
you got to respect that as an umpire, because that's, I mean.
Well, listen, the whole thing on Friday night, and there was a big debate on the board whether those hit by pitches were intentional. the only person that will know the intent of the player is that player and probably the head coach, but maybe not even the head coach. But for sure, Thomas Burns was the freshman right-handed pitcher who I think has really good stuff. Yeah. He sprayed the ball all over the place and was kind of an architect of his own demise with all the walks. But I thought he had really good stuff. That being said, the only person that will know the true intent of what happened on Friday night is the pitcher.
Right.
Now, based off my perception of what happened, how it happened, being in the ballpark, looking at the responses and body language, I 100% believe that both of those were intentional.
Okay. I agree with you.
And I think because of the bad blood between the two programs, which I spoke about on Friday, Gavin Grahovic, once an Arizona State commit. Jack Bell, once an Arizona State commit. Michael Early comes over from Arizona State. Jack Moss, Hunter Haas, Brock Peary, three of their best players, most talented players over the last 3 or 4 years, all come to Texas A&M from Arizona State. So there was, going in, I felt like there was a chip on the shoulder of the Sun Devil coaching staff and program. Okay? Number one, I don't think the way to handle that is to throw at anybody, and especially twice. Maybe once you got your point across. I don't know why the second time you needed to flip him again. Secondly, and I know this, and there's going to be baseball people listening to this, and there's going to be guys that umpire that are listening to this and going, well, they had to do it. I do not like the warnings. After Braden got hit the second time, the umpires issued warnings to both dugouts. I know why they did it. They're trying to keep the game from devolving into chaos and anarchy with another hit by pitch. But what you've allowed them to do is you've allowed Arizona State to target an All-American twice with no repercussions. He got to throw at Braden Montgomery twice, and nothing happened to him. Then once the warnings are issued, if Ryan Prager lets a fastball go early to a left-handed hitter or misses in to somebody, not on purpose, and it hits him, he's immediately ejected. I don't like that. I'm not saying that A&M should have to go head hunting after Braden was hit the second time. I would imagine there was some retaliation urges in the dugout. In fact, I know there was. The second time, it was taken very personally by a lot of the members of the A&M team and coaching staff. But for you to issue a warning that now changes how A&M can play the game, I don't think that's fair at all. And I know why they did it. Again, I understand why they did it.
You get that part, yeah.
But that kid shouldn't be allowed to throw at Braden Montgomery twice and have nothing happen to him.
So if you read into body language, had the response on the second one something.
Dude, then both of them, I thought that the pitcher was very blatantly, that's what I was trying to do. And then the first baseman after the second one, had his glove covering his face because he was smiling and laughing.
Right.
Tell me it wasn't intentional. There were some people that were arguing that it wasn't intentional. The guy didn't miss. He missed inside once to Jace Lavalette where it was kind of close to hitting him during the game. The rest of his pitches weren't close to anybody. And he squares up Braden Montgomery on 2 0-0 fastballs right in the center of the back. I'm telling you, that's not going to be forgotten in that clubhouse and in that locker room. And I don't know if they'll ever run into Arizona State again. And Schloss even kind of said, we'll handle that down the road.
Right.
But that's a good job by the coaching staff, because the easy thing to do is get emotional and lost in the moment and get so mad that you want to retaliate.
And you lose players for a game against Texas.
Right. I mean, what if Braden would have gone after the guy?
Yeah.
Then he's suspended for 3 or 4 games, and you don't get him back until the following midweek or later in the weekend against Rhode Island, I guess. But you'd have him missing this game in Austin, which I know there's a lot of folks have always said that these midweek games are meaningless. You walk into the Dish Falk Field on Tuesday night with that atmosphere and those two ball clubs and the way that game's going to be played and tell me that it's meaningless. It's meaningless in terms of the outcome of both of their seasons.
Sure. But it means everything.
It means a lot to both teams and fan bases.
No doubt. And especially considering how Texas has played this year. And, yes, they've played a few SEC schools, but they're 7-4. They dropped to number 24.
Doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't. But
this Texas team can beat Texas A&M.
100%. But A&M being undefeated, You know, Texas, all they want to do is give them their first loss.
And in A&M, it would be, as things are on brand here, it would be A&M's 12th win to start the year to do it at Texas. I think that would go over well with a lot of Aggies. And from what I understand, and I could be wrong, this is just me kind of taking the temperature on social media and on the message boards. There's going to be quite a bit of maroon in Disch-Falk Field tomorrow night.
Good. Do we know who's pitching for Texas tomorrow?
I don't know. They've run through a lot of pitchers over the course of that weekend at Minute Maid, and one of their biggest issues so far has been depth of the bullpen. So I don't know if they've got a scheduled Tuesday starter, a guy that's gone out there every week. They've been swinging the bat pretty good.
Yeah, they were up 11-0, right?
11-3.
11-3, okay.
And Vanderbilt rattled off 11 in a row. But this is a talented Texas team, especially in the batter's box. They're a little bit more physical. I don't know if they've got like a big – like a Kobe Clemens who'll run 20 balls out of the yard in a season. Porter Brown, who played for Schloss at TCU, had a pair of homers in the game against Vanderbilt at Minute Maid. He's probably their best power threat. They've got a young kid that's a super highly regarded prospect in Will Gasparino. He's going to look like Jace Lavalette. Big, tall, athletic outfielder. Probably their best pro prospect from a position player standpoint. They've had issues at catcher. They've kind of gone by committee back there. They've got a really good player at shortstop in Jalen Flores, outstanding player. Coached against him growing up. He actually played travel ball with Justin Lampkin for the South Texas Sliders growing up. So he's a really, really talented player. They're good. They've got some old heads in there, Jack O'Dowd, Peyton Powell, that have seen a lot of baseball, and they won't be fazed by the rivalry. So A&M's going to have to go in there, and regardless of what the record says at any point when A&M plays Texas in any sport, you can throw the records out the window. But A&M's going to have to go in there and play well.
Yeah.
I think the gist of my baseball article today is going, okay, here's what we like so far. Here's some things that you just need to look at. Again, we're only 11 games in. I don't know if you'd call them causes for concern just yet, but there are areas where you're going, okay, you have to, and this is something that I'm sure Schloss, Early Kane, and Max Wiener are doing, is kind of picking through it with a fine-tooth comb. Where can we be better? 11-0 is awesome. You can't ask for anything more. But you're really not chasing the results right now. You're chasing what kind of ball club you're going to be. So you just need to kind of go through and where can we clean things up?
Well, can you tell us maybe one or two areas without spoiling your article?
Yeah, I think one of them you'd like to see them. They go through some lulls offensively, but it's hard to nitpick that. Again, when I write this article, I am nitpicking. I understand I'm nitpicking. I'm not saying these are big areas of like where the giant weaknesses for the team.
Right.
I'm just nitpicking what I've seen so far. They get slidered, curveballed, and changed up to death. I mean, that's what everybody's doing. And even, Arizona State had a couple of guys throwing a bunch of splitters at them. That is one area where we've seen them kind of get out of themselves offensively and struggle. So that's one area I'll talk about. One thing I love is the offensive output, right? I mean, you'll take 9 runs, 10 runs. They're averaging 10 runs a game. You'll take that all throughout the course of the season, right?
Yeah.
But within that,
there are droughts. And you're going, okay, how can we maybe put a little pressure? That Saturday game felt a little scary for a bit.
It started off the first 6 innings. They scored one run?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was 3 runs. But anyway, they rattled off 9 in the final 3 at bats. And then you go the first 3 at bats on Sunday, and they rattle off 10. So again, it's about the totality of the offensive output is what you're really looking at, and you'll always take 9 runs and 10 runs. But they had the six innings where they were kind of flat offensively against USC, and then they had the last 6 innings against Arizona State yesterday where they just kind of coasted into the win there. So again, we're nitpicking. We are nitpicking, and it's not a cause for concern yet. It's just something we've observed so far, and we'll see if it becomes a trend or if it's something that it was just a weekly thing.
Who do you think, last thing for you, who do you think is available pitching-wise tomorrow?
I think, everybody. I think the only guys that won't be are the starters, Tanner Jones.
Prager
and Lampkin, obviously. I don't think you'll see.
You don't think you can see Lampkin for a little bit?
No. I don't think Weston Moss won't throw. Josh Stewart won't throw. You could see Brad Rudis maybe for a hitter or two, but you've also got Brock Peary down there that didn't throw this weekend who can get you out of a tight spot with a different look. But I think the first three guys that we're going to see in the game are Chris Cortez, Evan Oschenbeck, and Shane Sadeo.
And what do you need from Cortez?
Yeah, just like
Four
Schloss
solid
said.
innings.
No, who knows?
Right.
Whenever it's time for Schloss to go get the ball, is A&M in the game? And obviously within that, you want to see Chris continue to have a good feel for the strike zone. Make Texas swing the bat. I think it's going to be a windy offensive day. They may run a couple balls out of the ballpark on you. Who cares? What happens, the home runs aren't really what beats you. It's what happens before and after. So don't put them on base for free. Make them beat you up and see how it goes with you attacking them and not being worried about what the scoreboard might say in terms of run output. Attack hitters, dominate the strike zone. And I think if Chris does that, it'll be huge for his confidence going forward. It'll be huge for this team going forward. But it also set Texas A&M up in a really good spot to hand the ball to Evan Oschenbeck or Shane Sadeo with a chance, maybe 4 or 5 innings between those two to win the game.
Thank you, Brownie.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. We'll see you on Wednesday. We'll talk about that Texas game along with the recruiting country. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. When you're looking for a new vehicle, it can be a very stressful process. What you want to do is look at your options, right? And the option right here in the Brazos Valley is the place to go is Caldwell Country Chevrolet because of all the things I've been talking about for such a long time. You've got the great customer service, the complimentary pickup once you buy a vehicle. You can get that taken care of. They're a proud sponsor of Aggie Athletics, which I think that goes a long way for everybody listening to this show. And again, it's really about the pricing, right? Do you get a good price point? Do you get a good trade-in value? Do you get good people selling to you and making sure they put you in the right vehicle? Those are all reasons to go check out Caldwell Country Chevrolet on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They'll get a great new deal. Simply call, click, or stop by. Remember, it's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the very edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right. Oh, bobbing my head on camera. Good times. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So quickly, not that, Brian and I were talking about rankings. They don't really matter at this point, guys. So just keep winning ball games. But right now, A&M is still number 7 on the D1 baseball rankings. They did not move up. Florida stays at number 4. They did have a tough week where they went 3-2, but they're fine. Texas drops to number 24. A&M obviously at Texas this weekend. Let's talk to one of the greats, John Scheschuk, joining us here on TexAgs Radio to talk a little more baseball on the program. What's up, John? How you been, bud?
David, doing great, man. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us. So let's just talk about after, and I know baseball is your main sport, but after a year where football had their ups and downs, basketball's had their ups and downs. Talk about this great start for Aggie baseball, just to kind of bring back some optimism here in Aggie athletics.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, gives us all hope for, salvaging an athletic season that's been pretty tough. And I've said this for a while. I mean, you look at Coach Schloss and that staff, it's very impressive. These guys have a lot of unity. You can feel it. You can see it on the field. And there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to play at a very high level all year long. So, yeah, I think it's great that the Aggies need it. We all need it just to get some sanity back in our sports lives. But I'm excited for the start they've had for sure.
All right, so let's talk about pitchers. Texas pitchers, Arizona State pitchers, USC. Doesn't matter. Pitchers in college baseball. When they look at this lineup, and I know there's some dangerous lineups in college baseball this year, but with this one specifically, what do you think they're thinking? They're thinking, can we get through the third or fourth inning? What's going through their mind?
A lot of fear. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of fear. I mean, they've got such a strong lineup from top to bottom. And, of course, bringing Montgomery in's been huge. He's hitting 410 right now. But all the guys they have, Burton, Lavalette, Grohovac, I mean, you look at all of them, and they're just very strong physically. They're very imposing physically. So, when Lavalette gets in that box, he fills it up, man. That's a big guy. And they've got numerous guys that have that kind of size and strength to them. So you just see that bat speed. You feel that presence. They're going to pass that baton from one person to the next. And it's a really lengthy lineup, and it causes a lot of problems. And they've got good athleticism and size throughout. And they're dropping the hammer on these pitchers right now. So there's definitely fear from the other side when they play the Aggies.
John, you saw some explosive offense when you played here, obviously. We know about those great teams. This one's like, at least on paper through the first part of the season, is on par.
Yeah, and I think the difference in today's college baseball is you have more pro-level type guys. We had a lot of guys that played minor league baseball on our team, and we had a few guys make it to MLB. But, when you look at Montgomery, when you look at Lavalette, when you look at Grohovac, these guys are true MLB-type players playing college baseball. And my personal opinion is that had to do with the reduced draft a few years back with COVID. It has to do with NIL. It has to do with the SEC facilities and overall fan support. So now you're starting to see guys that, are really pro-ready, almost like football and basketball, playing college baseball, where in the past, Lavalette, if he got $2 million out of high school or $2.5 million out of high school, he was gone. But now there's an avenue for a guy like that to come make some money in college baseball and still get treated very well and have a great experience. So all that's to say is this lineup is full of guys like that, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of that explosiveness, and I don't think that's going to stop throughout the year. Now, when they get into SEC play, obviously they're going to be playing teams that have those same types of players on them, and they're going to be facing pitchers that are at their level. So it'll get tougher, but I do think you're going to see a high level of output from them offensively all year long.
Well, let's keep it with Jason, Braden, Montgomery. What are you seeing from their approach when they're at the plate, and just what sticks out? Obviously, the numbers stick out, but just from their discipline at the plate.
Yeah, I mean, you and I texted a little bit about that overall. I know there was a lot of walks yesterday, and they just seem very comfortable up there to me. And, to put guys back-to-back in an order like that right out of the season, it seems like they've been teammates for 3 years. And again, it gets back to their talent level. These guys are super talented people, so that makes it a lot easier. But no, their approach is solid. I mean, you can tell the coaching staff on the offensive side has done a very nice job preparing these guys. They have a solid approach every single at bat. They really act as professionals. I mean, you really never see them give away at bats, which is important. So those guys specifically are good, but really the whole offensive philosophy is in line, and they've got it rolling right now.
Talking to John Scheschuk here on TexAgs Radio. All right, we spent a lot of time on offense, and this offense deserves that prop. But how about the pitching this year? Ryan Brauninger in particular, the Friday night starter, he's been phenomenal. What has he got, 27 strikeouts on the year, I believe?
Yeah, I was looking at that this morning. He's got 16 and 2/3 innings pitched with 27 punch-outs. And, man, his base on ball numbers are really low, too. He's got 3 there. So that was an Achilles heel for Schloss. Man, I thought last year Schloss was just going to lose it. I did some radio games, and I would listen to him after the game specifically about pitching, and he was just distraught about it, just frustrated with the lack of strike throwing. I mean, we all saw the hit batters, and really it just wasn't there on the mound last year. So I know this year, especially with Brauninger coming out and leading the charge with that, base on balls to strikeout ratio, or I should say strikeout to base on balls ratio, it's been really strong, and that's good news for the Aggie fans, because you look up and down at Lampkin, you look at Aschenbeck, all these guys throw strikes, and they also get punch-outs too, so it's kind of a nice combination for that pitching staff right now. They're doing well.
We're talking to John Scheschuk here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk Max Weiner and just in general. Just look, we know the pitching coach that they had before, who was phenomenal, but Max Weiner has been such a delight to have, personality-wise, youth exuberance, his methodology, and so far, it's not just Ryan Brauninger, it's the whole staff that looks good.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. He's brought energy to the program. He's brought youthfulness to the program. I went out to a practice with my son, who's 8 years old. I just brought him out there in the fall just to see what it was like. And just seeing Max out there with those pitchers, I instantly saw that connection that he had with those guys. I think that youthfulness helps. I think his pro ball experience helps. We just talked about how these guys are pro ball ready now. I think it makes a ton of sense for Schloss to bring a guy like that in from pro ball. He's going to bring a little bit different spin on what these guys traditionally have heard. But, yeah, for sure, that connection with the players there is there. That age gap is not too wide, so he's able to connect with them on many different levels, and just been an awesome addition to the staff. Again, I can't speak highly enough about this staff because you have, obviously the experience, the leadership, the know-how, the CEO with Schloss, and then it trickles down to a guy who's 28, 29 years old with Max Weiner and everywhere in between. So they've got a really nice mix of experience and youthfulness and knowledge on that staff. And, man, I'm very confident that they're prepared every single time they go out.
Johnny, you already touched on the difference in college baseball when you played to now, but another difference is the portal, right, and how that's affected the game. And in football, oftentimes it's like, oh, what do we just lose? And, yeah, you get some winners. This team right now is full of guys that are new guys that are contributing beyond Braden Montgomery.
No, that's exactly right. And the days of building a program, yes, they're still there, but it's different. In my day, you really had to kind of get the locomotive moving over a 1 or 2 or 3 year span and get some longevity in your team. That's just not the case this year. I mean, you've got guys, to your point, that have filled up this roster that were somewhere else last year. And these kids are used to it. It doesn't bother them. They played on so many tournament teams in their lives that they can just plug in from day one and really get that connectivity going. But for Aggie fans, there's a lot of hope in it because it doesn't really matter what happened last year. It's irrelevant. I mean, 2 years ago, we went to Omaha. Last year, we struggled. This year, we're, definitely an Omaha-type team. Now, that's to be determined. But this team can go, for a long time this year. They're that good. But, yeah, having new guys in, it's just par for the course these days. They jump right in and they're ready to go from day one. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is certainly neat. Just how big, the rivalry, how big it's going to feel on Tuesday. Talk about this one in the grand scheme of things, what it means, and just for the short term, what it means.
Well, for me personally, it's a big deal because my father, who passed away, played baseball at Texas in the 60s. My mother went to Texas and my brother went to Texas, so I want to rub it in their noses, David. So it's a big deal for me personally, right? But on the grand scheme, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's a Tuesday baseball game. Now, it won't feel like that because it's A&M in Texas. That's just how it works. But I guarantee you, Coach Schloss looks at this as 1 of 56, and he's going to treat it that way, win or lose. Now, on the smaller scale, A&M versus Texas, you absolutely want to rule them out of the building tonight. And, that's what I hope the Aggies do. And Texas had a rough weekend. I mean, they got whipped around pretty good. And so they're going to be fired up. And Coach David Pierce coached at my high school, Adobe High School in Pasadena. So I've known him for many, many years. He will have them revved up. But no offense to my high school or David Pierce, but I definitely want the Aggies to win and to win in a big way tonight.
John, great stuff, man. Thanks for your analysis. Let's do it soon, all right?
Yeah, thank you, David. Have a good day, man. Appreciate you.
You too, bud. John Scheschuk there on the hotline. Appreciate his time. I want to remind folks about the Angry Elephant, our appearance there. We were in Little Elm, had a blast at Little Elm. We're going to be in Magnolia, just about an hour away from here. So all of you Houston folks, Tomball folks, Conroe folks, the Woodland folks, what else? So give me another area. Matthew, you know that area, North? Cypress folks.
Cypress folks. Is Katy close enough?
I mean, it's far.
It's far,
but it's not that far.
You can get there.
I put it this way. We talked AD, we talked a lot of things with Billy on Saturday. We may even be closer, get some insight, talk to Billy, ask questions. That'll be fun. Angry Elephant in Magnolia. We'll be there watching the basketball game Saturday, March 9th, 1 to 3 o'clock. It's going to be a fun time out there. And as a reminder, Maroon U is the sponsor of the Go Hour, but that's Angry Elephant, which we're going to be hanging out at. And like your politics, love your bar, find an Angry Elephant near you in Bryan, College Station, Magnolia, San Antonio, Frisco now. Go check them out at an Angry Elephant near you. We'll be back. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jeweler. It is time for Around Aggieland, presented by Norman G. State Bank. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normangstatebank.com. And we've got Naegeli, who saw 3 college baseball games this weekend?
No, so I only went to the Friday. So I went to Texas LSU on Friday in Houston. If anybody knows old Kennedy Cavan that used to work here, she was like spontaneously like, hey, let's go to a game. And Houston is closer than driving up to Arlington. So
you were optimistic.
I was scouting the opponent.
Well, good. Are you passing that information on the Schloss?
Yeah.
You are optimistic for tomorrow. I talk myself in and out of what I believe all the time. You sat next to me in games. You know I'm a very emotional Aggie viewer.
I think there's a lot of emotional Aggie viewers out there because we've been let down so much, but I'm not going to be negative until I need to be, if that makes sense.
So you're going to be positive.
Yeah, I have to bring the positivity around here because there's a lot of, I feel like when you have a
around
team
here, TexAgs or just Aggieland?
Both. When you have a team that's 11-0, I don't think you should already be getting negative about it until something bad happens.
But you can look at storylines and how, like, all right, well, this is going so good. Like,
A&M's won 11 straight and Texas just lost three straight. Baseball would say that things are going to even out and baseball may happen, you know?
Or as Bronny said in the last segment or a couple segments ago, the number 12 is a thing. Just saying.
That would be pretty great.
Knock on fake wood.
Hey, last time they went to Austin, too.
I was at the NIT semifinals, I believe that game was.
Oh, yeah. I was there, too. That's crazy.
You were in New York?
Yeah, at my previous spot. But, yeah, that was a fun one. So, hopefully, I don't know, can happen again.
Speaking of NIT, no, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Jeez. Let's talk.
I'm optimistic about basketball. I mean, optimistic they're going to make it interesting. I don't know if they're going to make the tournament, but I think they're going to make it interesting. At least as
interesting.
What I'm hoping
what would
for.
you claim as interesting?
Winning out the regular season.
But what about SEC tournament?
They got to win 2. I don't know if they're going to win 2, but they got to win 5
So say
in a
they
row.
win out, they win 2. You think?
I think they're in.
Okay.
I don't think it's a guarantee they're in because we've seen A&M before, but that'll make it interesting enough to be like, I'll be watching select. If they lose one of these next 2, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to watch Selection Sunday, but I'm going to be like,
whatever, dude. Knew that. Yeah. But you at least would pay attention. But would you be surprised if they got left out?
If they won 5 in a row?
Yeah. Would you have a case to be upset about that?
I don't think I'd have a case. Yeah, now, if they won 6 in a row.
We're getting optimistic. See?
But like,
we're getting positive.
I'm just saying, like, I want them to keep it.
Yeah.
When you win, I'm in a better mood. When you win, at least there's a chance.
Yep.
You lose one of these next 2, there ain't no chance, bro, unless you win the SEC tournament. And that ain't going to happen the way they're playing. So I was intrigued by what I saw against Georgia. Got to win. This is supposed to be Around Aggieland. So go ahead.
Let's get to Around Aggieland. So we're talking basketball. So behind Tyrese's Boots Radford's double-double, Texas A&M moved back into the win column with a win over Georgia. On Saturday night, Manny Obaski and Anderson Garcia assisted Boots offensively, combining for 23, as the Ags are now 7-9 in SEC play. They will host Mississippi State on Wednesday for Senior Day. Hopefully, like we just said, can continue on that winning trail. And then also women's basketball, unfortunately, they were down 16 at one point, came back, took the lead, but did drop a regular season finale 78-71 to Alabama on Sunday afternoon. So before Sunday's game, they were projected as the first team out of March Madness, the very first team. But Alabama is a 9 seed, or projected as a 9 seed. So not too detrimental to their rankings, but they will head to the SEC tournament. They will not play on Wednesday. They will play on Thursday at 11 a.m. In the second round against Mississippi State. And so they'll probably have to also lean on a win or 2 in the SEC tournament to get them in. But I think their odds are a little better than the men's right now.
A little better, yeah.
Let's move on to some NFL Combine news. Anaya Smith, 21 reps on bench press. I mean, I can just see y'all sitting next to each other on bench press, just going back and forth.
I ain't going back and forth. He would have lapped me twice.
Nuts. It's actually nuts. But he did have a stress fracture in his shin, so he did not participate in the rest of the events. And as well, Layden Robinson, Damani Richardson, Edrin Cooper, and McKinley Jackson all did compete at the Combine. You can see all their results on our website. And then softball had a 4-1 weekend in California, and they are now 19-2. As conference play begins on Friday night, they will play North Texas on Wednesday, and then have South Carolina all weekend this weekend. So hopefully we can get some more wins and some SEC tournament wins and a lot more Texas wins and all of the
A&M wins.
Not Texas.
Oh my gosh.
Take that back. Rewind. Texas A&M wins.
Thank you, Kay. Appreciate you. When we come back on this show that we call TexAgs Radio, I'm doing the anchorman voice. Buzz Williams will be on the program. Look, I'm optimistic after that one. Let's see how he's feeling about it. Billy Liucci, we got some football stuff to get into, some baseball stuff to get into, and obviously some Buzz stuff to get into in basketball. That and more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the, tell them where it is. Rollo Insurance Studio. There you go. It's TexAgs. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Basketball with a big victory over Georgia. Optimism back in here. Let's go to the hotline. We are joined by Buzz Williams as he joins us on most Mondays here during basketball season. Buzz, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
So, obviously, there's still a lot of work to do for the team, but got to feel much better this Monday talking to us, especially after the team getting back to what they love to do, defense, out-rebounding, hitting free throws. Your thoughts on the weekend?
Yeah, I thought we had a good week. I know it's not the results that we want, but I thought our guys played with incredible fight on Wednesday night. Did a lot of really good things. Not quite enough against South Carolina in some respects. And then I thought Saturday we played with the same fight, same togetherness, same connectedness, and we did some really good things. We still have margins that we need to improve on, and we've got a lot of work to do today and tomorrow to play on Wednesday. Mississippi State is the best team in the league at the rim. They shoot more shots than any team in the SEC at the rim, among the nation's best. So we have work in front of us, but very encouraged by the togetherness and fight that we played with last week.
Talking to Buzz Williams here on TexAgs Radio. How about winning undermanned? Henry's not there. You guys have had dealt with issues all season long. And then Wade, obviously finding ways to contribute, but only 4 points.
Yeah, again, there's been a lot of evidence of things that we can control and things that we can't control. And not all of it has went our way and in the results. But I think the connectedness of the group, not just the players, but everybody that's in our program on a daily basis, I think last week was more evidence of how much we care for one another and the trust and the relationships that go on that a lot of people don't see. And so I don't know that anybody could have thought after a 5-game losing streak that we would win on the road with all of the things for not being for Solo in dumb foul trouble the whole time, Henry not playing. But I thought the fight and the togetherness, the same things that I continue to repeat, I thought that was evident for sure.
Talking to Buzz Williams here on TexAgs Radio. One more thing on Wade. What do you think he needs to get going once again? Because, as I mentioned, he did contribute to the game. What did he have? 4 assists, 4 steals, 3 rebounds. So he found ways to affect the game. But offensively, what do you think he needs?
Yeah, I don't know how to necessarily articulate it in the right way. He had 4 points. He had 4 turnovers. He had 4 assists, many of which were career lows. But what's interesting, of all the players that played in the game, I think there were 21 kids that played in the game. He had the highest plus-minus. And to me, that just speaks to who 4 is and the importance and the value, whether he scores or not, that he brings to us in winning. I think it was the lowest point total he has had since he was a freshman, probably the highest turnover count he's had in a month or so, yet he impacted the game, plus and minus, more than any player on either team. And that just speaks to it's not always in the stats on what impacts winning and losing.
Buzz, speaking of impacting winning and losing, Manny, the last couple games, and I know he's flashed it at times. He's a valuable guy coming off the bench, and 26 minutes, season high. We saw what he did against South Carolina, almost really fueled a pretty big second-half comeback there. He was a catalyst. What's different? I know that's his game, right? And you guys know that, and you know it, and the teammates know it. But for a guy this late in the year, or he's this point in his career, he's flashed it, and he's had good games before, no doubt. But he seems like a switch has gone off in terms of just what I see out there right now is a guy with a lot more confidence, it feels like, the last couple games. What's been the key for Manny?
Yeah, it's been a journey, obviously. He was very impactful as a freshman and started, I don't know exactly the number of games he started, but he started at the 4. And he's obviously anything but a 4. And then I thought he had an okay non-conference before he broke his hand against Florida last year in the SEC opener. And I agree with your statement. I thought last week, I think it's the best he's been since he was a freshman. And it just speaks to his ability to endure all that has transpired, some of which he could have done better, and he would say that, some of which some things that happened were out of his control. But his perseverance and his ability to endure and to be able to have, he had the highest plus-minus. I think he was plus 19 in like 13 minutes on Wednesday, which is almost unheard of. We had some guys that were almost that in a negative in less minutes, and he was a plus 19 in less than 19 minutes. That's like, that rarely happens. He's just stayed. He stayed engaged. He stayed with us. He's hung in there. He's a talented prospect on paper. He's probably the highest ranked prospect that we've signed since we've been here. And I thought, I always tell him, when you're not twirling around lost defensively on the weak side, I always know you have a chance. And when your teammates know what you're doing offensively, you have some predictability to what you're doing. I know that if both of those take place, you have to play more. And he made more free throws this past week than he has in conference play. And I think that speaks to what he was giving us offensively. And he had more defensive rebounds this past week than he has had in the previous 9 weeks combined in conference play. And so he was for sure a spark for us in both games. And hopefully he can be a spark in both games for us this week.
Yeah, it feels like when he's hitting free throws and hits a couple shots from the outside, with the way he can get to the basket, seems like he'd be really exceedingly difficult to defend. And speaking of Boots, another 20-point game. Buzz, why 7-1 in 8 games this year where Boots has scored 20+? Why does that seem to be such a key? I mean, obviously you want all your guys to score.
I told him this morning when he was training, I said, I think rebounding is connected to your total. I can't remember exactly when it was. There's a lot of interaction going on in timeouts, and I always try to process at the very end of the timeout, repeat the most important things. And then as they're going on the floor, there's some analytical stuff that I look at that they give me that has transpired in essence since the last timeout. Okay. And so I'm looking at that stuff, and I just taken Boots out, and I walk down there and I go, look at this, man. I go, this is where we're going. This is really good. This is really good. And he goes, Coach, I didn't know you knew that. And I go, I look at it at every timeout, man. You got to keep doing this, because I'm telling you, it makes everything else work. And it was rebounding specific. Yeah. And I don't know exactly what those measurements would be, Liucci, in the games where Boots has scored over 20, how many rebounds he's had, but I do think it's correlated.
You think it's just
I know
him
several
getting
of those 8.
Sorry, you think it's just him getting it and getting up the floor?
He's just in the fight. It just means he's in the mix. Okay. It just means he's not trying to manufacture everything the hardest possible way. It just means we call it Baja. It just means he's got really good Baja. Like when he's getting rebounds with his left hand behind his ears, and he can't even see the ball, and he's grabbing it in the corner of an end zone on a corner route, you're like, oh, yeah, there's Boots. We're in good shape. It means he's probably guarding the ball better. It means he's playing with great Baja with the ball offensively. It means he's going to draw more than 5 or 6 fouls. I think that it's all a byproduct of he's in the fight on the glass, both offensive glass and defensive glass.
Buzz, our team put together some numbers defensively. You held them scoreless the last 6 minutes of the game, 0 for 7 on shots, 14 points in the paint. They only hit 10 of their 41 threes. Your thoughts on how the defense responded this past Saturday?
Yeah, I know we're first in the league in forcing threes, and I know Coach White mentioned that in his post game, and I think that's been the case since we've been here. I think the one thing that I would say, I think we're top 15 in the country defensively in that regard. If you're going to force a lot of threes because of what you're doing before the shot goes up, it means that teams are going to shoot more threes than they average. You have to have a plan on how you're going to contest those threes. But then that means that if they miss, it means that ball's flying all over the gym because it's a long shot and that's a long rebound. And so I did not think in the first half we were excellent in our defensive rebounding plan. I did not think that they were going to 41, I think, is the second or third highest since we've been here. 70% of their shots were from three. That's an incredibly high number. And so that was one of the things that we talked about at halftime is our responsibilities to defensive rebounding on three-point attempts. And I think we finished the game at 76%. In other words, they only got 24% of their offensive rebounds. That bodes really well for us. And if you're going to shoot 41 threes in a 70-possession game, I don't even know if it was 70 possessions, to be honest, but it was close. It means you're really guarding the ball, and that team is a downhill guard game. Georgia has 3, 11, and 4 are downhill. Here we come. You better stop us. We're going to get fouled. They only shot 6 free throws. That means we kept the ball above the free throw line off the bounce. It means we didn't get into rotation. It means our contest on threes, because we weren't in rotation, were on time, on target. And it means we had inside position when the shot was attempted from three, for the most part. That didn't happen every time, but I thought we really guarded the ball. And I think when we really guard the ball, when it's in the middle channel and we don't allow it to get below the free throw line, and or when the ball's on the side, whether it's a live dribble or not, and we keep it pressed up and pin it on the side, it becomes predictable rotation if there is rotation for us. And I thought the guys that played the minutes that they played, I mean, we had 9 turkeys. That's mathematically really hard to do. That's 27 consecutive stops at some point when you did get the turkeys. And that's however many games we've been here, that's only happened 2 times. It happened at Missouri earlier this year, and obviously it happened at Georgia on Saturday. And I think that when you can do all that stuff and not foul, and you can do all that when the ball is ricocheting all over the gym and you can finish with a rebound, then you're going to have a chance. And that will be, I think that'll end up being the line of the game on Wednesday. We're first in the SEC in offensive rebound percentage. We're first in the SEC in defensive rebound percentage. Our defense is ranked 3rd. Okay, well, who are we playing? Well, we're playing Mississippi State. They're 3rd in offensive rebound percentage. They're 3rd in defensive rebound percentage. And over the last 5 games, they're number 1 in the league in the SEC through 16 games of shots at the rim. Now, they get their shots at the rim differently than Georgia, and so how can we prevent those shots? What are we going to do on the catch at the rim? And then how are we going to finish with the rebound? I think the line of the game will be decided on the offensive glass and the defensive glass.
Yeah, Buzz, it's that time of year, isn't it? I'm excited about Wednesday. You've got, I think, 2 teams, obviously, with a ton to play for. You mentioned it. That was my next question when you talk about the rebounding, was the toughness and the physicality. When I watch Mississippi State play, they remind me of A&M teams. I mean, y'all are built, it feels like, on the same thing. Maybe a little different style, but at the end of the day, this is going to be a fist fight.
It will be we hope that, I mean, it is, if both teams are hooked up, Liucci, I anticipate it will be a football game.
Yeah.
And it'll be in the trenches. It'll be below the free throw line. They have some guards that are superlative with the ball in their hand. I think we have some guards that are superlative with the ball in their hand. But where is the game going to be decided? It's going to be the offensive and defensive line. I mean, it's going to be they're the best in the league in regards to this category that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Talking to Buzz Williams here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Last thing for me, Buzz, I've never seen a player in college basketball time blocks the way Solo does. I mean, his ability to kind of just wait and get those blocks. Just when you see these fast breaks happening and Solo running behind, you got to feel comfortable he's going to alter the shot or maybe even get the block.
Well, I know this is the wrong thing to say as a coach, but I've never even told Solo this. I haven't even told our team this. There's certain things that my eyes are drawn to, and I don't want to get into all of those things during the game because my brain is playing ping pong. But one of the things that happened on a long shot, long rebound, one of the things that happened on a live ball turnover, we call those two things gas. We want to play where there's no gas. In other words, we don't want to drive it in there and give a block shot. We don't want to get our shot blocked because, in truth, that's a live ball turnover. Mm-hmm. When we have the ball, we want to give them the ball. That's a live ball turnover. That's gas. We don't want to give gas to the opponent. And sometimes when that happens, gas is not always a negative. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean they had a block shot. It doesn't necessarily mean there was a live ball turnover. I think we had 8 turnovers, 4 had 4, so we had 4 other ones. But I think 5 were live ball. Mo, I think, had 1. But anyway, what I wanted to say is sometimes gas can be, we just shot a 3, and it was a long shot, and it was a long rebound, and we call that broken floor. It's going downhill. We call that a jailbreak. Like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but it's going real fast. Anytime there's gas involved by us, the first thing I do when the opponent gains possession is I immediately find Solo. Like, I don't know why my eyes go to that, because if Solo is behind it, he's going to have a chance to block it. And, like, if you watch those blocks that he typically has, he's always a step or 2 behind the opponent, not necessarily the kid with the ball, but he's a step or 2 behind the action because he's an offensive rebounder for us. And, like, the only thing that I've told him on those things is sometimes we've had 4 goaltending calls in SEC play on that play. And I'm like, Solo, if I know you're a freak athlete, but, like, if the ball is above the rim, you probably don't need to block it because the angle that the official is seeing it, he's on the baseline and he sees you jump up like a pogo stick. He's going to call goaltending. Yeah. I know they can review it, but if we've been fouled, if there was a foul, which is when teams foul a lot when there's gas, if there's a foul and you're in the air and you hear the whistle, don't block it because now it's a goaltending and an and one. But, man, some of those blocks that he has, like when I see that happen, like against Georgia, I never tell him this, but, like, as soon as they gain possession, I'm like, where's Solo? And do you remember the one in it would have been in the first half, I think, where Jace was the rat. Jace was the get back. Jace has got the ball. And Jace, you can tell that Jace sees Solo.
Yeah.
And Jace's verticality on the ball, and then Solo's a step behind it. And I'm like, that's pretty. If you're into those sorts of, if that's what you call pretty.
Athlete problems. You're talking about a guy, when you're in the air, make the decision to either not block it and check to see where
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking to 2 guys that will never understand that, but yeah, it's fun to watch.
We appreciate
exactly.
it. Yeah. We just don't know what it feels like. Hey, Buzz.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Best of luck. We'll talk to you down the road.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Buzz.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fun to talk to him after a win.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, I was worried about that game. Yep. I mean, even before, when I didn't think they were going to lose 5 in a row, I'm going, that Georgia team is significantly improved. They were really good early in the year, to start the conference play, but they're a much more talented, I think, better coach team than they've been. And that was a trap. You know, we talk about trap games, and that's more of, to me, they're like, that was more of a trap game than even Vandy. That one worried me. I think Georgia is a pretty good team in the SEC. They're not upper echelon. They're not going to go to the tournament.
But they can beat you at home.
They can beat not just A&M. They can beat teams that have been playing better than A&M at home. So the Aggies needed to go in there and actually play an A game. And like you said, if you'd have told me Wade was going to struggle to score like he did and Henry wasn't going to make the trip, and Henry hasn't been, you know, obviously he hasn't been playing the basketball we expected. He's still a factor in games for A&M. And to not have him and then Wade to not be scoring, I would have said, man, that one could end badly. They controlled that game. And I thought they looked really good in doing so Saturday.
In retrospect, had I told you that you weren't going to have Julius Marble, Henry was going to be limited, not himself, and Wade Taylor at the end of the season would be the last 6 games averaging like 9-10 points a game, you would have never thought they would have a chance. And maybe you still don't believe that, but they have a chance.
They have a chance, and we said it. I mean, they just have to keep winning. I firmly believe, and somebody else can go look at the numbers. I'm not going to take time doing that. It's just somebody that's watched this a lot. And I was wrong 2 years ago. I thought they played their way in, but I also think 99% of college basketball thought A&M played their way in, including what people seem to forget in our, the Aggie rage against Joe Lunardi. 2 years ago, people forget Lunardi had A&M in.
He had him in.
So really, like, everyone in college basketball had A&M in. It wasn't just us. I probably thought I was probably more confident they were in after that run at the end of the season. And then
when they made it to the SEC tournament final, I was like, they're in.
Yeah. And so I feel like I've got a good feel on these A&M teams, whether they're in or not. And we've been in that 8, 9 to 12 seed range many times during, I wouldn't say this run because it's been interrupted several times between coaching changes. But, I mean, since A&M started to regularly, semi-consistently, whatever you want to call it, go to the tournament, I'd feel like not just me, but most of us, most of the listeners, most following it, would have a pretty good feel for it. I'm pretty damn convinced, and I hope we get the chance to see if I'm wrong or not, but I'm pretty damn convinced that if they can win Wednesday, really tough. The Ole Miss is free falling. Now you got to go on the road. I wish that game was here. I'd feel actually pretty damn confident about it. But this to me is the toughest one, tougher of the two, even though it's at home, because Mississippi State
they're
is
legit.
Surging.
They got 10 wins already.
Get in. They're gonna get in.
Yeah, they're in.
Tolu, they weren't good early on without Tolu Smith. I think they had 1 or 2 losses that were damaging, but that was without him. Now they're a good team. They're a good basketball team. They're going to be a tough out in Nashville.
Yep.
That is a massive game, and then obviously you can't overlook a really talented, well-coached Ole Miss team. But what I'm getting to is if they can win 4 games in a row now, it was 5. And that's a big ask when you think it's going to be Mississippi State. It's in Oxford.
On the road, yep.
You're going to play a pretty evenly matched team that you either probably barely beat or lost to in the first game, and then that second game you're going to be playing
in weight class.
One of the bigger dogs probably. You will be if you win these next 2, because if they're 9-9, I guess they'll get a bye. So in that second round, you're going to get a team that had the double bye, so you're going to get probably one of the big ones. So if they can do that. If they can win that. And right now that is still a massive if. I'm not ready to jump in after Georgia, especially with Wade looking, to me, just very fatigued.
Yep.
He's done so much this year. I mean, it's literally like it's like he had a boulder on his back and was just carrying this team at times this year through a long physical season. And he's the smallest guy on the court most games.
Yeah.
And I do think it's taken. We all hate load management in the NBA,
but
there's
benefit.
A reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason behind them doing that. They do think that's some sort of, optimization of to have them ready at the end. So it's tough. But if they do it, I do believe they'll be in. I think I'd be very confident they'd be in. So it is a long road to that point. They are still not playing at a level where you go, okay, they're going to do that.
Right.
If you'd asked me after Tennessee and say, yeah, they can definitely do it. But right now, it doesn't feel like it. But it has to start somewhere. Maybe it started in Athens. Maybe. We're going to find out. But I think this one would be the big one. At least to get you to that second tournament game. Just get there. Play at Tennessee, a Kentucky, an Auburn, whoever. Play one of those teams, Bama, and just be there at center court to tip it off and go, okay, if they win this one, we'll actually feel pretty good about them being in. Just get there.
Win 4 in a row right from now, and the committee owes you. They owe you for 21.
Well,
so I'm just saying.
Look, with their non-conference resume and body of work, and we might be talking, like the odds are that we're talking about something that's not going to happen. In my mind, I'm like, just win 3 in a row against evenly matched teams. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and whoever you play. To me, like you can't say A&M can't match up with any of those teams they might play in the first round and Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Just win 3 evenly matched games here. It's hard. It's not impossible. Get to that one game and take your shot. It happens in every conference tournament every year. Take your shot. And so to me, it's a 3-game thing for A&M to get there, and I feel like they'll be playing for a lot more than the opponent. So we'll see. But it's frustrating. I know it's more frustrating for them, but damn, man, you look at those last possession losses, last second losses. You look at the Arkansas games and the Vandy game, and it's just like, gosh, they could be in such a different position right now, despite everything they'd been through, and it was just like that much.
Way late for a break. Let's hit the break here. So if you go to the game, it's the last time to go at Reed Arena and get some Costa Vida. So make sure you go out there and get your Costa Vida on when you go enjoy A&M versus Mississippi State. They've got great food when you go in there. So, and also Olsen Field. Hopefully you've been taking advantage of that because they've got the Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill concession stand there at Olsen Field down the third base line, and they have a great menu that consists of chili lime chicken, sweet pork burritos, chili lime chicken and sweet pork baja bowls, chips and queso, key lime pie, and for cooler weather, Mexican hot chocolate out there. And if you go to the store, get
in that Mexican hot chocolate while you still can. Maybe this weekend on like Saturday or Sunday, because, buddy, I don't know if you saw the temperature tomorrow. It's going to be like 86.
It's going to be 86, but we'll have another cold day by April for sure.
Maybe.
We will.
Get the hot chocolate in while you can. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and you know what? I like warm drinks in the summer. I don't care. Maybe not outdoors, but it doesn't matter. Get the Jace Lavalette, get the home run combo with Jace Lavalette and Ryan Targach, number 12. The home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchilada smothered in house-made queso, rice and beans, large drink for $11.99. Of course, you can go in-store and get all the great food there as well in South College Station. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Again, that is 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. Say hi to Holly for us. It's Costa Vida. All right, let's get back on the clock, all right? Louie, I'm sorry. That was a long first segment. I apologize. Serious, sincere apologies. Nick was making fun of me. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. But when I'm talking to Billy, I have an international sign. I have 2 signs for him, like it's time to go to break. There's this, if you can watch on TV or on YouTube and TexAgs. What would you call it, Matthew? Like, I'm rolling the wrist. What do you call that?
I don't know what you'd call it. It's just kind of like the.
Well, it's really this. It's
right here.
Break. Right? Like
break. Okay.
But it's become with Billy with one arm, but it's really supposed to be, all right? Or I hold my spot, right? The next live spot that I'm going to do, and I'm like, and I'll when I notice that he's on a train of thought, I'll move it to the laptop. So just so there's movement, or I'll hold it, and as Nick said, I just hold it like this, like I'm interviewing him with my paper.
Nick should put a button underneath your desk. You should just push it, and a little red light pops up, and then he knows. Then he knows, hey, it's time to cut it off.
Let's read Dermdock's text, and then we'll have to hit a break to get back on the track.
Well, Dermdock was saying, I believe he had texted in last week giving his predictions for over-unders, and the baseball bunch.
9, I think, was the number we came up with, right?
I'm sorry?
Was it 9 the number we came up with for the weekend? I believe that was the number. 3 per game.
I believe. And he said the Ags over-under were 4 homers. They hit 4 on the dot.
Yeah.
Ag over-unders, 6 earned runs allowed. They gave up 8, so they went over. I believe Richard Zane might have been nailed that. I think he went over on the runs scored. He went under in home runs, but I guess the home runs pushed. So Dermdock was saying that it was 8 earned runs allowed all weekend.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good mark if you ask me.
We take it. All right. Sorry for the short segment, guys. We got to get back on track. We'll come back with Billy next on TexAgs. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy should be back in studio here in a moment. All right, so last time for the show, I'm going to remind people, Magnolia, Angry Elephant will be there on Saturday. We'll be there from 1 to 3 p.m. So the Magnolia, Angry Elephant, 1 to 3 o'clock. We'll be hanging out there. It'll be a good time. Hopefully you all can come and hang out with us. For those who went to Little Elm, I saw the thread. It looks like you guys had a good time. Hopefully you can just keep talking about it because we had a blast. Billy was there. I was there. Jason Howell was there. Who else? Oh, Brandon Leone was there. Justin Lanham was there. It was a good time. Took some pictures, had some good conversations, and you had a good time at the Angry Elephant?
Good time. I'll tell you what, just highlight of that thing, other than the people, there were some technical difficulties with us with the sound, which ended up, to me, being a good thing. We were able to
make it a little more
kind
intimate.
of walk around, talk to everyone. So thanks to everybody that came out. It was a nice meeting. I don't even want to call it the Dallas crowd. That's like the Frisco, Prosper, Little Elm crew up there. Saw actually a couple friends of mine from college, and like you said, Brandon and Justin were up there. It was a good time. And I went into Dallas, drove back to where we were staying, and thanks to the crew over there at Angry Elephant for the hotel. I mean,
it was great, wasn't it?
And I'm gonna tell you something. That the highlight was one of the more comfortable hotel beds that I've slept in. Pillows were on point.
They were pretty good pillows.
The Westin up there, is it Stonebriar?
Yep.
Pillows were on point. Bed was really good. Makes me want to call our friends, at the sleep station and get. I need that. Just reminded me what a really good mattress feels like.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be doing it at Magnolia Saturday, 1 to 3 o'clock.
You must have liked it up there. There's some kind of soccer event going on.
They were staying at our hotel.
A team from Iraq there.
Montreal was there. The Montreal
there
team.
Was Iraq.
Iraq was there too?
I mean, unless people just walk around with Iraq on their shirts, and they were, it was some kind of Iraqi team was there because I was on the elevator with them. But they're in Montreal too. You're right. So like, there was something big going on. I don't know. Maybe you can look it up during the break. I'm surprised you didn't find your way over there.
No.
We were right next to that stadium.
No, I got invited to go by one of our listeners. I was supposed to go meet up with friends, and then you know what I did? I went to the hotel. But you did too, so.
Would have been really cool if I would have walked in and you were just like drunk by yourself on the corner of the bar, and I double take.
You're like, wait, Nuño?
And you're like, just man, I had to just let it rip,
have
some fun, and I would have been like, good luck having fun in the Westin lobby, but I'm
all the soccer dudes.
Yeah, you and the soccer guys.
Not until the Twins can drink. Hopefully in 5 years. Hopefully. It'll be sooner than 5 years for them.
Yeah.
But all right, let's talk baseball. Dude, like Prager looked great. The pitching has been phenomenal. There was some drama on the Friday game that kind of, I don't want to say bled over into Sunday, but A&M had the last laugh. Just a great weekend for baseball.
I think it probably could have bled over into Sunday. A&M, it was probably if you know baseball, that was probably a tough decision. How do we pay these guys back? And you're up 10-1. Probably have some flexibility there. Maybe had they not scored those runs late, because I think one of the things you had to do was, really, you weren't going to throw Aschenbeck in there after 50-something pitches on Friday, but they probably really wanted to save Sadeo for Tuesday. And if you go Cortez, Sadeo, Aschenbeck, like that's optimal. So you just didn't want the game to get to any kind of point where you had to bring him in for very long, and it worked out perfect.
Yeah.
Almost like a little bit of a warm up for him to go out there. Would he throw 11 pitches, struck out the side? It was exactly what you needed. I think you couldn't have been happier with the weekend, the way it went. I mean, look, they went through a stretch there to start that tournament where they weren't hitting, but they got the 2 home runs on Friday, and then Saturday it was slow and starting. Once they got going, you look at that, that second half of that USC game, and up until it was just quite literally like empty the benches time, that was an offensive explosion. And they took walks, and they got pitchers, they got a pitcher out of there early, and they just started just swinging the bat the way we expect. Braden Montgomery, just incredible what he's doing early. Him and Jace, I'm just trying to think. I mean, obviously, Jack Moss and Dylan Rock, Warner at a time. But, I mean, just for when you look at a back-to-back in an A&M lineup, I don't know if I've ever seen a more formidable duo. And it's not like the guys around them aren't good and playing well. That's what's so ridiculous about this lineup, especially when Slosh gets it to where whatever the optimal peak performance lineup is going to look like ultimately, and there's a lot of, jockeying for position that's going to take place even over these next, what is it? It's the next 6 games before conference play. And even on, throughout SEC play, just like any team, any season, you're going to see some movement. But once this gets to where it's like, okay, we're Slosh and Early can sit back and go, this is our perfect lineup based on what we've seen through a half a season or even 3/4 of a season as we get ready to enter the home stretch and postseason. God, because it's formidable now, and it's scary for opponents now. But there's so much room for them to improve offensively. That's what is mind-blowing to me, is that there's so much room for them to improve on offense. And tell that to USC or Arizona State. But the pitching so far has
That's
been,
the story.
Look, a shutout Friday. And by the way, that's why you don't throw at, first of all, it's a 4-0 game. They hit Braden twice. I know in MLB you go out there and plunk them. It's a 4-0 game. You need that win. You want that shutout. That's the best way. Best way to stick it to Arizona State. And I think I'm on board of saying I think that coach is a slime ball. You could have beamed one of their hitters. You're not going to throw at him to hurt him. He's going to go take first base. Or you can shut their asses out, and then you can damn near run rule them the next time you play them.
With a grand slam.
And you can have the guy that got hit twice hit a grand slam about 15 rows into the seats. And there's not a better way to say, take that is the nicest way I can put it. But there's not a better way to say that. And now, you know what? If I'm Slosh and if I'm Early, you know what I do now? Now I go and say, you know what? For the 3rd year in a row, I'm going to go take somebody that you want on your team in the portal.
Right.
So I'm going to get your ass again. So it's just, we're not going to stop now. So I hope you enjoyed hitting our star player twice, and then have him hit a grand slam against you the next time. And now we're going to come back at you again, because I'm sure there's a player or two on that team that can play at A&M, just like a few have already. So I'm all about this little rivalry, because I think A&M owns Arizona State right now, not just in baseball, but, last time they played in football, they whipped that ass too. So ASU, you're perfect fit for the Big 12.
All right, let's do this. We'll hit a break. We'll come back.
Why did I just go after Arizona State?
I don't know.
I like Arizona State. They have just some bad coaches there.
Yeah.
Football, baseball. I don't know who their basketball coach is now.
We'll come back. I want to ask you about Johnny when we come back.
All right.
All right. Right now, Milliken Reserve Time, Farm to Table community in College Station. Homes, trails, farms, wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around. Oh, yeah, we can talk combine too. We'll start off with a combine. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community, respect for that native landscape. 2,600 acres of open space, farms, and 30 miles of trails and homes. They connect families to nature and to each other. If you've been out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You go out there and get to do these long walks, climb trees, go hiking, you go biking, you can go canoeing out there. They've got the equestrian trails. Those of you who like yoga, they got yoga out there. They got the summer camps, the music festivals, the farmer markets, and the farm tours. It's a wonderful place to just connect with your family and with each other. It's just a great, great place. You'll find all the animals you want to see. The white-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, and the turtles out there. Check out the website to learn more about it, millikenreserve.com. Again, millikenreserve.com. And when you go there, you'll see all the great neighborhoods, the creek, the hollow, and the meadows. Again, it is millikenreserve.com. It is time to end the day with Devil Days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. And as a reminder, they are closed on Mondays. Billy, we have 5 minutes to play with. Combine. So Anias with the 21, beating the linebackers and the wide receivers. Great job for him.
Really impressive. Not impressive for the linebackers. What happened to strong linebackers?
That used to be a thing.
Kind of where the game's going to, though.
Yeah.
You're getting more of these guys that can cover and, kind of make tackles in space versus those, what they used to call thumpers in there. But great for Anias. I mean, that's a tremendous number for a receiver his size. But it doesn't surprise me. They've talked about him being that strong for a couple of years here.
Yeah. And then you had Layden doing well. Damani, what was his
Layden
time?
Didn't
4.6 on the 40.
Layden's got to show more at the pro day. Run, and he has a chance to help himself. But I mean, look, somebody's going to take Layden, and he's going to have a chance to make a team. And I believe in Layden, but. Yeah, I think he'll be a guy that can really help himself with a good pro day.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about Johnny.
And Damani, by the way, is in the same boat. Edgerrin Cooper was the standout.
Yeah,
that's a first-round performance. I don't know if he'll probably go second if I had to bet money.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But that's a hell of a rise for him from a commit. They flipped late from Utah, and we just watched his career just kind of ascend like this. And him coming back for last season was the best thing he could have ever done. He made himself a lot of money.
He did.
By coming back for the way it's supposed to be. Your senior year, your best year. And he put the tape on the field this season that was at times elite. It was never bad. It was at times elite. Good for Edgerrin. He's a great success story.
Would he have been drafted the year prior, you think?
Yeah, he'd have got drafted
Late, like
for sure.
fifth or...
Yeah, I want maybe even a little, but I mean, he would have definitely gotten drafted. I mean, the scouts were all over him. Just not. Hopefully, Shamar Stewart has a similar. I mean, Shamar Turner. Shamar Stewart be a junior this year, but hopefully Shamar Turner, who came back, was going to be probably a third, fourth round pick this year, has a chance to do what Edgerrin did, and that would be great for the 2024 Aggies. That would also be great for him individually, and I think he has that potential. I think that was that type of decision for him. And then finally, McKinley. Look, I don't know where he'll get drafted. He doesn't blow you away with numbers at a combine. But what he does do is play football, and he's a hard guy to move on the inside, and he's very twitchy in there and powerful and explosive. I think McKinley play a long time in the NFL, regardless of where he goes.
Johnny tweeted over the weekend that he is not going to go back to the Heisman until they give Reggie Bush his Heisman back. And I guess my question to that is, I don't think Johnny alone moves the needle. I think you need strength in numbers, and Johnny could start a movement, but I haven't seen.
You just wonder how many guys will opt to skip that. But here's my deal with it. And I actually talked to Johnny, like, after that all came out. I'm like, yesterday we were talking about it. I said, it's not just Johnny. It's these young guys that grew up watching Reggie Bush now. The Lamar Jacksons, the Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Troy Smith is a guy I met in Vegas Super Bowl week, and he's really tight with Johnny. And he was talking about, like, these guys, a lot of these guys from Reggie on really grew up, and when they were in junior high and high school, Reggie Bush was the legend. You remember what he did at USC. Everybody remembers what he did. And so it wouldn't be just Johnny. It would be maybe all these, like Baker, all these younger Heisman winners, these more recent guys to say, yeah, he needs to be there. My thing about the Heisman and the trust, Heisman Trust, and the NCAA, like NCAA, you haven't done one thing. To me, you haven't done one thing positive that fans have been, they're expanded playoff, and what else? Number 2 on that list would probably be Reggie Bush. Reinstate the Heisman. To me, like, if you give him his Heisman back, you didn't give it to Vince Young, so you're not taking it from Vince.
Right.
The Heisman, just nobody won it that year, allegedly. We all saw Reggie Bush win it. If they gave it back to him, who would have a problem with it? Who would complain? The fans wouldn't, college football, the athletes wouldn't. Who would complain? Give it back.
I agree with that 100%. He deserves to have it back. I just don't think they care what Johnny has to say about it.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
Johnny's not the one person. It's
Right.
like, make everyone happy. Do
Yep.
something that's popular and celebrated in your sport that quite literally it's going to be almost 100% to zero. Maybe Pat Forty will write a negative article about it. Who gives a damn? So, like, to me, it's an easy, positive for the game type of thing. And it almost feels like kind of the right thing, to do. So we'll see if he gets any traction or momentum. If he does, I think it'll be because of the young Heisman winners.
I smell a lot of gasoline. That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's
and we're not talking about the gas like Buzz was talking about.
No, we're talking about.
We're not even talking about the Brawny type gas. We're talking about gas.
The lawn guys across the way.
You're panicking.
All right, let's hit a break here. Well, we got to go. That's it. Louis coming up next. Tomorrow on the program, Shireen, Justin Lanham, and Tom Hart and Pounding the Rock. That and more. We'll see you mañana.